to businesses. And they do all the work, no charges up front. You simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. That's getrefunds.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
Renner Garage Door, servicing and installing garage doors in KC for over 60 years. Family owned and top rated. Residential, commercial, service, and repairs. RENNER. Forward and back. Renner, the company that does garage doors. RennerDoor.com.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be a broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF-HD2 Liberty. And the station.
Welcome to Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio. On today's show, Tommy Boy hangs him up for good, supposedly. The Broncos sell the farm for a new coach, and Chiefs defense is peaking at the right time. Special guests include Josh Klingler at 12:30. Now two guys still waiting for an invite to one of those Super Bowl parties down in Phoenix. Cody Tapp and Alex Gold.
I mean, are we going to get any invites? We have a few things lined up. We got to get kind of basically like okayed. It's one of those where
that sounds kind of vague.
Well, you can
a few things lined up.
Well, yeah, you can.
That's what like a guy who claims to be working in Hollywood says.
You can
hadn't had a gig in weeks.
Well, Cody's in the
months, years.
Cody's in the same boat. We all three of us are in the same boat. Like you can RSVP for certain things, and you still have to get approved for it.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Looking for invites.
Like
still open.
Like there's a Gatorade party all three of us are potentially going to, but it's not confirmed. There's an SI party on that Saturday night. That's something we're working on.
Something we're working on.
That's exactly what it is. That's what's
what
going on.
What do you mean by working on it?
You have to get approved, basically. You can say you're interested, and then they're like, no, you're not important enough, basically, is what happens.
Do you think they can just Google you?
Yeah, like, oh, you did the Creed Humphrey stuff. You guys are in. You did the Creed is good. You're in.
I like that would be the thing. The Creed guys?
That's it.
Here's the red carpet, sir. VIP.
Yeah.
Drinks on the house.
Something like that. No, other than that, I don't know if you have any other. Nick, do you have the end? We think maybe you got connections out in Arizona.
You're clearly the most connected person on this show, and I'm basing that simply on the fact your uncle was sitting next to Travis Kelce last time. So I don't know what it's like to be from a rich family, Nick, but I bet it's nice.
Some people would say Travis Kelce was sitting next to my uncle, but it's neither here nor there.
By the way, it looks just like you, just so you know.
Really?
I think you can totally see the resemblance.
It's my dad's
stand. Same hairline.
Yeah, the Schwartz, we do have.
You run a similar hairline?
We have nice foreheads. You know, lots of room up there. You know what they say about big foreheads?
You know, we haven't talked a lot about your childhood. How big was your mansion at your house?
Nick ran to
when I was a kid, 13 bedrooms?
No, we lived in a 2-bedroom off Webster. Shout out Topeka. If anybody's from Topeka, you'll know where Webster's at. Lived in a little 2-bedroom over there. And then we moved out north to a little bigger homestead.
How many bedrooms?
3. One for my parents. One for me, one for
Nick's family cannot walk into anywhere. They can't walk in. They can't go into Jeremiah Bullfrogs or Skinnies.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Perupski. They can't go in there without people immediately stopping what they're doing and recognizing.
Well, you guys,
your uncle with his arm around Kelsey's shoulder.
You guys give me a hard time, but it really is a burden. It really is a burden. This lifestyle, because I didn't choose this life. This life chose me.
I also think. How about Travis Kelce? Clearly a Jayhawk fan, Nick. Clearly he's rooting for the right team. Yeah,
I mean, he was clapping for the Hawks after they scored. He was dapping up. Yeah.
In the locker room after the game.
He went and did his own little layup line.
After the game, he told them, hey, winning a championship, essentially, that's special, but winning another one, that's better.
That's what he said.
He's setting them up.
Wow.
I love it.
And he said, talking about both himself and the Jayhawks.
Yeah, and then he said,
at the same time.
And then he said, hear me loud and hear me clear. I am a Jayhawk at heart. I hate Missouri and Kansas State. He said it. Yep, he said that.
Do you have that on video? Or?
No, I don't. But again, going back to the connections, my sources, and I can't really reveal my sources, but let's just say I had somebody in the building last night.
Also, real quick, I don't know why you didn't have your uncle. You know, we tried to get you to send a text to your uncle. I mean, you could have got Travis to call into the show, find out how much he liked the Wheel and the Hawk last night because he was at both of those venues off the campus there. Find out what he thought of Lawrence. I'm waiting. I'm assuming you're working on it. He'll be calling in at some point today.
Yeah, I think he stayed the night. I think he kind of did it big last night.
I would hope he stayed the night, considering what his events were after the game. Yes, I would hope that was the case as well.
Oh yeah. Painted the town red and gold. If you know what I'm saying. Because those are the Chiefs' colors.
Yeah, Yep. Thank you, Nick. Mm-hmm.
We gathered.
Thanks for the clarity on all of that. The news this morning, Nick, I think, is the first one that notified me of, as a matter of fact, because I had woken up maybe 10 minutes before that, and Nick said, big news, big content day. I'm like, what is he talking about? Of course, I hop on Twitter immediately because that's usually one of the first things I do, and right away I see a video of Tom Brady. And this go-around, I actually believe him. Tom Brady said, you know what? He's retiring.
Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. I think you only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
So Tommy getting emotional at the end, announcing his retirement, and I know he announced the same thing a year ago to this day. Now that was I like
that he chose exactly 1 year later.
Yeah, and that was more than the video. That was the long paragraph essay, if you will, of him speaking. And as he said, you only get to do that once, and you kind of.
I think he's right.
I think he's correct. I also believe him this time around. I really
I'm surprised that you said that, because I think we had this conversation 3 weeks ago, and you're like, I'm not going to buy it just if he says he's retiring. Is it the way he said it?
Well, I didn't buy Gronk. I said Gronk has to go through an entire season. I'm surprised he's retiring. I'll give you that. That I'm flat out surprised. As far as the video and all that, I believe what he's saying, and I believe that this time around he's done. Yeah, I didn't expect him to retire. I said, he's not gonna go out like that. He's not gonna finish in Tampa. He's gonna go, a lot of people thought the Raiders or wherever, and he would play one more year or so. So yeah, I'm surprised by the news, but you heard how emotionally was at the end. I believe him, but it's everybody's got their own family stuff they got to deal with. We all know his became very public with his divorce of Giselle, but that was reportedly of the reason for the divorce, and so that was another reason why I believed he would stay. All right, you already unfortunately had some of the consequences of coming back to play,
and he didn't want to leave his team, even though in the middle of training camp he had to leave them for a little bit while he went through the divorce stuff.
Right, and so I thought, now that that already happened, why not play for another year? But he ultimately has decided to retire at the age of 45, and of course is the greatest quarterback of all time in the NFL, and obviously good for him, and probably going to be in the Fox broadcast booth very, very soon. Heck, it wouldn't surprise me if Fox tries to find a way to get him involved in the Super Bowl coverage with the Chiefs and Eagles next week.
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't shock me. Now he could have done that if he was an active player too.
Sure.
You know how that works. But again, I think it's fairly obvious at this point that he's serious about it, that this is it. And I know that I'd said, hey, you can't really retire twice. Oh, Michael Jordan retired twice. I'm like, I get it. I'm not saying it's never happened. It's, someone's going to say, a year from now, some quarterback's going to get hurt in the middle of the season, and the first name that is going to come out of anyone's mouth is Tom Brady. I understand, but he's 45 years old, and I think that he's done. I think this is it. I think it's the end of the Tom Brady run, and we can finally put to bed what has obviously been the greatest career in NFL history. He has more Super Bowl rings than any other single franchise does.
Nuts.
Partially because he gave 6 to the Patriots. They had 0 outside of that. And he's got 1 more with Tampa Bay. So he's got more than any other franchise has ever managed to even put together in their entire long, drawn-out histories. But he went out like a lot of guys do. It's hard. The lesson for all of this is it's always hard to go out like Elway. Nobody ever wants to go out like that.
Manning.
Everybody always thinks that they can just go out and they'll get a couple more years in, and this will be the one. And instead, he went out 8-9, looking like garbage. Team and look, it wasn't all his fault.
I'll say he looked more like his age this year, but he wasn't trash or anything like that.
He was still but he was just like the 15th best quarterback. And honestly, when you the same thing as like Jordan, I'm pretty sure that Jordan at 42 could go out there and still score like 22 points a game. But that's not why you're Michael Jordan. You don't go out there to score 18 and contribute 4 rebounds and 3 assists. You're not an NBA role player. You're the single greatest NFL player ever. You don't show up in the building to be a 500 team, being the 15th best quarterback, going out in the first round of the playoffs. And that's back-to-back years, right, where it just didn't feel like it was the same. Like, you were trying to get one more. You were trying to get to 8, and I respect the hell out of that. It's just hard because you were already at 7. It felt like you had semi-buried the number and just still went out chasing for it. Are you more likely to see 80 for Brady now? That's the big news?
No. No, I'd rather go see what was the movie, the Cocaine Bear or whatever that you were
Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I'd rather
I can't believe you guys don't want to see Cocaine Bear.
Well, I'd rather see that than 80 for Brady. Yes.
I got no
What
shortage.
does better in the box office? 80 for Brady is going to destroy Cocaine Bear.
I think Cocaine Bear will win.
I think 80 for Brady will. There's going to be a bunch of like 50-plus-year-old women that are going to go see 80 for Brady.
Yeah, probably.
Don't you think?
It's got like every
it
like
fits.
Well, like 80-year-old women, like the 3 female stars in that
was 50 plus.
Well, I'm just saying, like I think I think it extends ages up a little bit. I had no shortage of 5 DMs from people like, let's do this. Let's go see Cocaine Bear. So, I mean, and the text line, as you saw, was 70% in favor, 80% in favor of seeing it. I think you guys are in the minority on the Cocaine Bear front.
It has to be for Brady. I mean, when you play as long as he did in the league and have that kind of success, like we hear all the time about athletes that even had just, let's say, Cody, a 6-year career, that adjustment post-playing career. Now, for him, he's going to be very fortunate that he's going to land into a broadcast gig immediately, so he'll still be around.
With $500 million or whatever?
Yeah, with $380 million is what the contract that he's going to get for Fox, and we'll find out ultimately how that all looks. But the adjustment, he at least will be around the game, but that still has to be the weirdest feeling. Everybody at some point in time, if they're fortunate enough, they get the ability to retire and hopefully are set. But like he's 45 years old.
It's been his entire identity since he was like 18. Well, probably like 12 in his case, or 10.
Right. So it's like that. I mean, look, I know he's filthy rich. The guy's dated supermodels, been married to one. Like,
probably keep dating supermodels.
Why not? Why not?
I assume that trend line will continue.
Like, it still has to be a weird, like tough/weird, just to then not have that part of your life anymore. I mean, that's a weird adjustment that I can't even imagine. But yes, what makes it a little bit easier? You're the best quarterback and best player in NFL history, and you're worth an insane amount of money, and you're about to make an insane amount of money not having to get hit anymore. And you're still only 45. Yeah, you're old in football world, but he's only 45 years old. There's a lot of life that he gets to enjoy being filthy rich going forward.
Only team he finished with a below 500 record against?
Oh, yes.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
I wish he had one more loss against them. I wish he had just one more of those.
That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been nice, Thinking of that, at that time of the Super Bowl, when Mahomes and Brady were playing each other, we had a ton of conversation about, man, if Mahomes gets the Super Bowl win over Brady, does that set the path where you can have a real conversation about whether or not Mahomes could ever catch Tom Brady? I thought we made an agreement. We made a pact after that game and said we cannot bring it up until Mahomes gets a couple of rings to where we can even have that conversation, because the door was slammed shut after losing to Brady. I thought that was the deal. And now I know we talked right before the show, and you said, wait. We gotta have this conversation.
It's the way that everyone's just been like, it was Tom Brady's greatest ever, and he's never being caught. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
I am not willing to just bury that as a 0% likelihood. No way. No chance.
What percent would you put it at, honestly, if we're being honest?
It's still low.
5%?
10. He's Patrick Mahomes. 15 even, maybe. That's the number I should have said.
Okay.
10%.
I think it's a 5 or 10% chance. 5 or 10% chance.
There is still, to me, a likelihood that Patrick Mahomes can do it. Because, and look, catch him in the sheer number of Super Bowl rings. No.
7.
I don't think he's getting to 7. That's a ridiculous number. That number is going to be almost impossible to catch, similar to Bill Russell's 10. Right? We don't have the conversation around Bill Russell and the biggest number and the other guys are right, and LeBron or Michael Jordan or any of the things that come with it. In other sports, the sheer number isn't necessarily
right.
it.
Now, Bill Russell and LeBron James weren't playing at the same time. I mean, Tom Brady and Mahomes have been playing the last
5-year
7
crossover.
years. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
So the way they're going to, in the end, it'll have like a 5-year playing crossover. But when you look at the way this works is if Patrick Mahomes gets to, I think, minimum 4 and more realistically 5, then you get to have the Jordan versus LeBron debate. You just do. Here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback who has ever played the position in the history of the sport. He also, in addition to that, because you might have said that, someone might have said that about Aaron Rodgers at some point. In addition to being the most talented player to ever play this sport, he also happens to be one of the sport's greatest winners. All he does is win. He's doing unprecedented things in that regard. He's got 2 MVPs. He's played 5 straight AFC title games. And if he gets this Super Bowl in a week and a half, he'll have 2 Super Bowls by the time he's 27. Tom Brady had 3 Super Bowls in his 20s. He had 3 more in his 30s. 2 more in his 30s and 2 more in his 40s. So Mahomes isn't even that far off the pace.
I mean,
but he has to win this one.
He has to win in 2 weeks.
I understand.
In 2 Sundays.
Otherwise, you're going to have to roll off some unprecedented number in a row, which is probably unlikely.
Because Brady went to 10 Super Bowls, correct? 1-7, is that right? Went to 10, 1-7. Mahomes is going to his 3rd. If he has 3 and he's 1-2 in them, I mean, I don't see the path at that point, Cody. Now, if he gets his 2nd Super Bowl win and 3 tries and he's 27 years old, he at least is pacing where he needs to be. This is why that game against the Bucs is such a killer, because otherwise we'd be talking about potentially going for a
I know
third.
that you've said the head-to-head is always good, but
I do think that hurts.
One game, dude. It's one game,
Cody. But it's
and they didn't play against each other,
Bowl,
and one team clearly had a better roster, and there's a million other
we've seen.
He didn't just outplay Mahomes. His team was ruined. It got wrecked.
I get it, but if we fast forward 10 plus years from now, and Mahomes is 37 going on 40. And Mahomes has, let's say 4 rings, by the way, which is a big if still. As much as we want to play, that's still 3 more rings than he has right now. So let's say he gets to 4, and one guy's got 7 and beat him head to head. You can't. To me, no, the conversation doesn't happen. As much as we're going to talk about him being the second best quarterback of all time, because that's very real, of course. But if it's 5-7 and you lost head to head to the guy, what's the argument though?
Super Bowls. It's one game. That's the argument.
He lost Super Bowls, but not to Tom Brady didn't lose to a guy that is going to be who you're actually going to be comparing him to.
I know,
that's
but
the problem.
to me, it's one game, man. We might be talking about careers that are in Tom Brady's because he played for 20 years. Patrick Mahomes 15 or 20 years. I got way more evidence than one game amongst 400.
Then it needs to be 6-7. Then Mahomes needs 6 rings, then Cody, because you can't tell me there's a two ring gap.
Oh yeah.
By the way, 5 rings is absolutely insane. Okay,
I think of the second most of all time.
Let's just be honest with all of ourselves for now. If Mahomes ends up with 4 rings, that is nuts. If he ends up with 4, that's nuts.
By the way, what is the number you would lock in that you wouldn't let him play out the rest of his career?
Oh,
it's not 2.
Yeah.
Because it's not 2. We know it's not 2. He's getting ready to play in a game for a chance at 2.
4.
Oh, wow. So you wouldn't lock in 3?
4. No.
3 would make him one of 5 quarterbacks of all
Cody,
time with 3.
He might win his 2nd next week.
I know.
So no, you got to tell me 4.
You're locking in 4.
If you told me I can guarantee 4, but there's no chance of ever getting to 5 or 6, I would lock that in. But I'm not going to lock in 3 because he might have 2 in a week and a half.
Look, I know it's a long shot. I understand that even enjoying this conversation is probably a bit of a long shot. But I'm telling you, I refuse to bury it. Because Mahomes is still doing, and it's important to note, unprecedented things. When you think about Tom Brady's career, he had 2 MVPs and 3 Super Bowls by the time he got into his 30s. That's still on the table for Mahomes.
Right, but that means nobody's arguing the pacing. He's if he gets the ring in a couple weeks, he will pace it where he needs to be. But I'm just telling you that if Mahomes is retiring at age, let's say 42, and he has 2 less rings than Brady, then no, you can't. You cannot tell me that he is the GOAT over Brady. I'm sorry. No, I know we're in Kansas City, but no. The only way to even have it is if it's one off, and then you can give me the argument that, well, the head-to-head doesn't matter. But if it's 2 off and that guy has head-to-head on you, then how on earth is it not Brady still? That's all. It's ridiculous.
This is probably just a difference in how much we're valuing that one game. Because, to me...
But I'm telling you, not even if it's 1, Cody. If it's 1, you can have... If it's 5-7, it's not just 1 game. It's 2.
No. Well, I understand. Because, it's 2 Super Bowls. Those are separate conversations. To me, it's 5-7, I think you can have the conversation because somebody might win more championships. It doesn't make them the greater player. But it's...
2 more and in the head-to-head?
No.
That's a lot going for one player over the other.
I understand. But to me, the head-to-head doesn't matter.
The text line, I'm with you. Nobody's arguing that Mahomes is not more talented. That's not the conversation.
When I said he's the single greatest, he's the most talented quarterback to ever play.
Everybody's already saying that. That's no. Of course, Tom Brady would tell you talent.
Tom Brady might say that on a broadcast next year.
Yeah, talent-wise, yeah, that's already done. But that's not, as we know, whether you agree or disagree with how we view legacies of quarterbacks, or you mentioned LeBron and MJ, of course. This one's unique because we're talking about two guys that actually did play somewhat in the same era. There's a crossover here, which actually
but you're saying
really interesting.
Two rings is if there's 2 rings is too big of a difference, then LeBron can't be better than Jordan in your mind. Because
there's a lot of people that believe that. Yeah, that's a very common thought, by the way.
That's wrong. LeBron James is the single greatest basketball player who's ever played. So clearly, I'm willing to entertain this conversation.
And they also didn't play at the same time. The game is different. It doesn't even fly with the Brady and Mahomes. They both played for 5 years in the exact same NFL. Unfortunately, we never got to see LeBron and MJ play in the same era of NBA basketball. That'd be great.
But in the 5 years that they played in the exact same NFL, one guy won. They might both win 2 Super Bowls, right? Tom Brady won 2 in the last 5 years. They might both win 2 Super Bowls. I don't care about the NFL.
So Brady doesn't get the ones that happened 10 years before don't matter now.
Protect the NFL was the same in the early part of Brady, and it wasn't. They played in different eras of the NFL, even though they had some crossover. Brady played for so long, their entire careers are not the same era of the NFL the way you're describing it in the NBA.
I just say, good luck winning an argument in 20 years if Mahomes has 5 and Brady has 7 and lost head-to-head in a title game and in a Super Bowl. I don't
think I have to argue anybody in Kansas City.
Not in Kansas City.
The argument's whole loser nationally.
Yeah, but I'm talking I'm trying to have a real conversation about how people, not just in our bubble of Kansas City, real, not just a homer take. I understand what people in Kansas City are going to say. Mahomes will have 3 rings, let's say, and people will say he's better, the best quarterback of all time. You can't have a 2, 3, or 4 ring gap and try to make an argument for that. That's just since now we're trying to act like we don't value the Super Bowl rings as much, just to make the argument.
We've had this conversation. To me, the head-to-head one, you keep it I know what happened in that game and who the teams were and what the rosters look like. It wasn't Mahomes' fault. He didn't lose to Brady.
I don't disagree, but again, that's why he needs to. Then, to your point, then let's get him 6, then Cody, and then we can have.
I don't think that's to my point. I'm still fine with 5. I think look, we're both setting a different minimum. I think the minimum is 5. Which means he probably's got to get this one.
Yes.
For entertaining all this, in a week and a half, he's going to want to go ahead and get that touchdown. Get that Super Bowl.
Do you buy the noise around the unis? That could be a good sign. We saw the Chiefs put out a video that Mahomes is clearly wearing a white uni. We don't know if we're going all white, though.
That's their look.
It's the cleanest look. It's definitely the cleanest look if they go all white. So we know the Eagles are wearing the green. So the Chiefs are for sure wearing the white tops. We don't know if they're going all white or they're going to go red pants. I feel like they're probably going to go red pants. I would like them to go all white. My guess is white top, red pants, and that's what they're going to roll with for the Super Bowl, as much as I would like. We've talked about the uniforms before.
Well, they went red top, white pants against the 49ers, right? So logically, they're just going to do the inverse of that? They don't have that. You know what's funny is we talk about the uniform stuff at the Chiefs. They have 3 combinations. 4. White on white, red on red, red on white, and white on red. That's it. Chiefs don't have some other variations. They're not going to throw anything. They're not going to throw a retro at you, right? These are their uniforms. This is what they're rolling with. To me, very simply put, Gold, just as long as it is not red on red, their absolute worst look. I want to make that I think that the red on red is their worst look. Just as long as it's not red on red, I'm good here. I'm okay. I would like white on white. But if they go red pants, I'm not going to have a fit. This feels like a comfortable situation for me. Do you buy into any of the this has any the people who are superstitious about they're they're Owen whatever. I'm like, I don't care.
It's fun to bring up. It's fun to bring up, but it doesn't matter.
It's
fun to bring up, but no, that will not have any bearing on the game. No.
I just want them to look cool doing it if they win the Super Bowl, Which is why I don't want them in the red on red. I don't want to have to look at the photos of them winning the Super Bowl in that. But good news, we don't. He's clearly going with the white uniform top, right? I don't know.
The video, that's not the question. Is the pants? We know the white. If Philly's wearing green and they already put out a video, then the Chiefs aren't wearing red.
Philly, this is a good uniform matchup from an aesthetics standpoint.
You like the dark green or whatever they call midnight green, whatever they call it.
You don't like that look for the Eagles?
Not really.
Interesting. Which is your preferred Eagles uniform? Like the Randall Cunningham ones? Not doing that. Wow. The Kelly green?
Those are badass, yeah.
Those are clearly badass, but they're not going to do those for the Super Bowl. They want to be in whichever one they, I don't know, whichever one they typically wear during the season. You knew that. The Chiefs are never going to change their uniform, by the way. I've accepted that they're going to apparently be the only NFL franchise in the history of time to never make any kind of adjustment to what they wear or ever give you any kind of alternative. This is their uniform, so it's fine. If you're cool with it, you don't want to see an alternative for even a game, you're good. No problem.
Our NFL playoff coverage brought to you by Metro Ford. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. Up next, we were talking about what the Broncos might do. Well, it turns out they didn't get their first, didn't get their second, but they got their third. We'll discuss that next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sport Radio.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics, listen up. Everybody loves playing for a winner, right? That's why it's time to bring your skills and experience to one of the nation's leading providers of sustainable solutions, Waste Management.
There's so much more to waste management than what you think it is.
WM is paying a $7,500 new hire bonus to CDL truck drivers and heavy truck mechanics for immediate job opportunities at our WM site in Kansas City.
Besides the $7,500 new hire bonus, there's steady work, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, a generous boot and tool allowance, and home every day.
Plus, over-the-top benefits like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and so much more.
Apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hiring today for tomorrow. We are WM.
Football, and more football. Whether you go to the game or have the party at your house, you need Smokehouse Barbecue. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. Or if you're hosting your own party in the KC Metro, invite Smokehouse to cater and deliver. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. Don't forget about Smokehouse Barbecue's hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Check out at smokehousebbq.com. For over 30 years and family-owned and operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Hi, guys. It's Mark. Are you dealing with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, February 1st, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Oak Ridge Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 913-295-8000. That's 913-295-8000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Oak Ridge Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 913-295-8000.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering 100% guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
Ray Motors here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And they've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready for your top. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Secrets, cover-ups, and strange phenomena.
UFOs and ideas that challenge reality itself.
My name is George Knapp. I dig into news stories that others can't or won't.
I'm Jeremy Corbell, and for some reason, people tell me things they probably shouldn't. And this is Weaponized. Follow and listen to Weaponized, the presentation of Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Dark Horse Entertainment, and Cadence 13 Studios. Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
At Anthony, we get the job done right the first time. That's why you know us as the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Right now, receive a free tank water heater when you purchase a new heating and cooling system. Schedule online at anthonyphce.com.
All right, just getting started on a Wednesday. It's Cody and Gold, Alec Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Short with you. Reminder, coming up at 12:30 today, Josh Klingler going to join us, sideline reporter. He was in the locker room. You heard some of his interviews with Sky Moore, Juan Thornhill, and others. He'll, of course, be on the sideline at the Super Bowl. It doesn't get better than that. He was also at Tom Brady's last ever Super Bowl win. Unfortunately, it was against the Chiefs, but he was there. He's
one of maybe like,
what was there, 20,000 there or something? What did they do for it? Was the COVID year, so.
And it was just like all healthcare workers, remember? It was a very small group of people.
And I think he was actually the person holding the phone for Tom Brady's retirement announcement, too.
Wow, he was?
We'll have to ask him about it, but I think so.
People are upset, like, because the video, like, it wasn't shot today. Like, well, no kidding. He didn't wake up at 7 a.m. and record the video. He obviously
Wait, why does it matter when it was shot?
You know how people, you know.
It's a deep fake.
Mike Florio did a whole thing
gone
on
live.
it this morning.
Wait, Mike Florio did a whole thing on
There's
it.
something on Pro Football Talk.
On not being shot this morning? That's a
But
story?
wait, is this a is he thinking there's a conspiracy?
Just like it's not like the video was shot today. That's all.
Mike Florio has too much time on his hands, it sounds like.
Yeah, he tweeted out, or his Twitter, he doesn't understand.
Mike Florio kind of
We've had him
sucks
on the show
though,
before.
right?
He's not a fan favorite here. We had him on in
He was on the show in
Radio
Miami.
Row in Miami right after he basically encouraged the Niners to like basically hit him, hurt him a little bit. Essentially, remember that
like
whole thing?
hit him right when he gets out of bounds. Like what Osai did.
I'm not willing to say that. I'm not willing to say that he is in Michael Lombardi or
no, he's not
or
there.
Boomer Esiason territory, but he's close. He's getting close.
Ooh, wow.
Dustin Colquitt.
There's a chance, Nick. Mike
There's only
Florio,
3 guys in that elite club.
There's a chance Mike Florio's on the show next week when we're in.
Okay, so
Radio Row.
but that's nut cutting time for him.
Ooh, wow.
He better bring it or he's done, and I'll tell him. I'll say, hey man, you're never welcome.
Should
here
we
again.
start the interview? Be like, you gonna write any stories how they should hit Patrick Mahomes late this week?
You should.
Mike.
You should
do
that.
Very tacky way to begin an interview.
You think we
How
should
is
start
that
the interview
tacky?
that way?
Tacky.
Tacky.
Oh,
tacky.
Because that's not a word.
I know.
Tacky.
How pissed do you think Greg Olson is?
Too much time around kids.
How pissed do you think Greg Olson is today? That Tommy's retiring because, of course,
He's been talking about it for like a week. So Greg Olson might have the scoop ahead of all of us. He was essentially talking last week and be like, it'd be stupid if they fired me. They're also right.
Yeah, we sure that he's going to lose his job.
Well, they're not going to fire Olson. It's just they would, if anything, they would just demote him to the number 2 broadcast team.
How many people watch the Super Bowl? 100 million?
It's more than that now. Yeah, more than that these days.
Because it was, what, 55 million for the AFC Championship? How many will they get? Like several million?
So 99. So the Rams Super Bowl in the United States only. Of course, we know it's worldwide, but the United States only 99.18 million was for the Rams. Cincinnati won last year. That was the most watched Super Bowl since 2015.
If Greg Olson just like kills it at the Super Bowl, it's going to be really tough for Fox to let him walk away from that number 1 group.
He's really good at the job. I don't know why you would be like, you know what? No, we're good. Tom Brady.
Because you can say like Tom Brady drives audiences, but if you put this guy on the biggest stage possible and he kills it, it's really tough to justify bringing in another guy for a superficial reason.
You know how you justify it? You're paying him $380 million.
Give him like a TV show or something.
Like Greg Olson's probably making like 50. He's making like a 7th of that Tom
I
Brady
don't know if he's
contract.
making that. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I have no idea. Yeah.
So I mean, I was just thinking
since he's still quote unquote, like
early and unproven.
Can you imagine if they brought in Brady and that he just sucks? He's just terrible
I will say
at
Greg
it.
Olsen has certainly raised the bar, though. Like, the bar has been set for what people are expecting.
I don't think it's impossible Tom Brady's going to suck. He seems like such a phony when he does media stuff. He doesn't seem like himself. He seems like weird.
I think.
What do you have against attractive people?
I think he'll be pretty good, man. I think he'll be pretty
Greg
damn
Olsen's
good.
very attractive. I just said he's great.
Okay, but Derek Jeter, Jimmy Garoppolo, and now Tom Brady.
Okay.
3 of the most attractive athletes ever, and you hate them.
All I said is that Derek Jeter is a Hall of Famer, but he's overrated. All I said about Jimmy Garoppolo is he stinks, which I stand by.
Derek Jeter stepped up in the postseason,
And Tom
man.
Brady's the single greatest quarterback of all time. I just don't think he'll be good at broadcasting. I'm sorry, you're not going to be the greatest person ever at 2 things.
Yeah, but you realize the common thread there, right?
They're all beautiful people, is what Nick
Yeah, do you have
said.
anything against Bradley Cooper? Think he's an overrated actor?
All the people you mentioned there.
Just the first attractive person that came to mind.
Bradley
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Cooper?
Is that better? Brad Pitt?
I have nothing against those guys. Gyllenhaal's great in Nightcrawler.
Okay.
That was probably my favorite role of his.
Well, so Tom Brady's gonna head to the broadcast booth now that he's retired. Sean Payton's leaving the studio to go back on the sidelines. He's hired by the Denver Broncos. We talked yesterday on the show how
no one wanted
it
the
seemed
job.
like nobody wanted it. And what I love about this, we can get to the compensation in a second, is Ian Rappaport, who I fully trust in this compared to what Adam Schefter was reporting. He says, well, Adam Schefter also covered the Broncos, so I just don't buy what Schefter was saying. Anyway, what I'm getting to is the Rappaport said that the first choice was not Sean Payton. He said that they tried DeMeco Ryans, and then they went to Harbaugh again. Then they went back to DeMeco Ryans. He turned them down for the Texans. Then they finally settled on Sean Payton. He was their third choice. Their third choice that they gave up a first-round pick for. They swapped second and thirds, but they gave up a first-round pick to the New Orleans Saints for Sean Payton, who, of course, he's an upgrade. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett's going to go down as a bottom 3 head coach of all time in the league. So, no kidding, he's an upgrade. Nobody's arguing that. I think Sean Payton's a very good head coach. But that's a lot of compensation to give up for a team that still needs multiple things to work right. And it doesn't even matter, honestly, what happens unless somehow, some way, Sean Payton can pull off a miracle and get Russell Wilson to being a top-tier quarterback again, which I don't know if anybody can ever do.
This is still hilarious to me because, yeah, they got probably what is the most accomplished head coach available, right? That's like undecided. Undisputable. He's got a Super Bowl. He's got a bunch of wins. You know, he's had success pretty much his entire NFL career. 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and more draft assets to Russell Wilson and Sean Payton in what is the worst situation in the NFL. Like you said, it's not just get Russell Wilson back to the top. It's not just get Russell Wilson back to being like Derek Carr level of good. In order for this to work, considering the cap numbers you have tied up to him, considering the free agents you have coming up over the next few years, the fact that the defense has been really good for 2 years in a row, which means it's only got like a year of shelf life left, and how much you're paying everybody, it's like he has to be like a top 6 or 7 quarterback for any of this to matter. They'll be more competitive with Sean Payton, but it never made any sense for them to give up draft assets for a coach where they already didn't have an E.
Either they were hesitant on hiring Payton anyway, or it was the compensation. I just remind everybody, he was reportedly the third choice. He wasn't their number 1 target, wasn't their number 2 target. DeMeco Ryans liked the situation with the Houston Texans better than you and Denver. And I don't know if this means that we don't give Mike McCarthy enough credit, or it just tells us that neither one is deserving of it. They're basically, Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy are the same guy.
Nearly identical.
Everybody loves Sean Payton. Everybody rags on McCarthy. So maybe it is if we just need to give Mike McCarthy more credit and he's an easy target. But they basically almost have the exact same record in their career, just about the same playoff record. In fact, McCarthy has 1 more win. And they both have the same amount of losing seasons, and they both have 1 ring, and they both were with future Hall of Famers at one point at quarterback in their career. Drew Brees, of course, with Sean Payton, and Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy in Green Bay. So is it more credit for McCarthy, or is it just that, hey, Broncos fans, you gave up all that for Mike McCarthy?
I think that they're not going to want to hear that.
I know they don't.
So
I
I
had
have
a bunch
family
of
members who grew
Bronco
up Broncos fans. They've been forever, and
Very
it's just like, you know what's funny is that, so my dad, I've told this before, my dad grew up a Broncos fan. which means one of my siblings did as well. They've been Broncos fans their whole life. They didn't want Peyton. They didn't want Sean Payton. For the same reasons we're having this conversation now, that's a lot to give up. By the way, we're only short of Kevin James playing Mike McCarthy for the one season he was off.
Well, Kevin James should have played McCarthy instead of Sean Payton, that's for sure.
Yeah, that seemed like a weird casting. Yeah. It actually seems like a better casting. You're right. The other way around. It doesn't matter. But when you look at where they are, they're not better. This is a losing job. At least for Sean Payton's case, is he's the only guy that they're paying so much money to that they trust that he'll actually get a little run to be bad. Any other coach, Gold, who took that job was not going to have runway to be bad. They were going to have the job for 2 years. Russell Wilson wasn't going to get better. They were going to stink, and then they were going to get fired. And then in addition to that, most of the early reports is that Sean Payton's guy is probably...
Hey, I need some help.
Joe Lombardi, because they worked together in New Orleans, and they are friends. And now Lombardi's a free... And I don't even like the offense Lombardi ran for Justin Herbert. Now, maybe that's just because he's running it for Justin Herbert. Maybe to work better for a guy like Russell Wilson, who is kind of more of the prototype of what Drew Brees was in his time in New Orleans. But it just doesn't seem like this is the thing that propels them forward. And honestly, I believe Rappaport's report. I think they legitimately wanted anyone else. There were like 4 other guys. They wanted to convince Harbaugh. They wanted to get D'Amico Ryans. I think they're guys they wanted above Sean Payton because they didn't want to give up the assets. And then they panicked and they caved.
Yeah, look, I think you said they're like the Broncos are better with Sean Payton. There's no disputing that. But just to what extent? Like, what makes it worth it? Did they have to go and make this move? I think what happened is similar to what happened an offseason ago. They panicked. It's the same. Remember, it's the same general manager. Same general manager. Payton is there. That's not confusing either way, by the way. Sean Payton and like George Payton, they spell their names, or Pat, they both spell their names differently. Very confusing. But anyway, the general manager, they tried to get Rodgers by hiring Nathaniel Hackett last year. Didn't work out. They panicked. They gave up the house to the farm, whatever you want to call it, for Russell Wilson. Then they turn around and they didn't get their number one coach option, and they did the same thing. I think they panicked and said, "Well, we got to go with Sean Payton now." And so I think the same thing happened. This is a general manager that was hired because they said, "You know what? He's a really good drafter." You have traded all your picks away for the guy that's a really good drafter anyway. So it is hilarious, and it's enjoyable. Nothing is changing the AFC West next season.
They just got that first-round pick back by trading away their best pass rusher. Then they spent it on a coach, Gold. They got all these draft picks, and right now what they have was the worst starting quarterback in the NFL last year. The full-time starter. The other guys got benched. The other guys who were worse than Russell Wilson last year got benched. So he was the last remaining. I started most of the games for my team starting in the NFL. And because he's owed so much money, there's nothing you can even do about it. Again, they're a little bit better. They'll be a little more competitive. Sean Payton's a better coach.
No doubt.
A way better coach.
The gap between him and Hackett is massive.
Yeah, we can joke about like how high we should put Sean Payton, but the difference between him and Nathaniel Hackett is pretty substantial. But they're still stuck, dude. They're not their problems are not solved.
I did have a lot of Bronco fans just in my mentions last night because I was basically tweeting what we've been talking about here. And they're like, "Well, what did you want us to do?" Once D'Amico Ryans said no, they're like, "Who else would you have hired?" I go, "Well, Eric Bieniemy, number one. Mike Kafka would be my number 2 choice, and number 3 would be like Raheem Morris, for example." Now that's a defensive-minded head coach. I get the issue there, but like those would be the 3 guys.
I'm dead serious. I would have rather hired Byron Leftwich to be my head coach, even though he fell out of favor because I'm not doing the. Like, I'd rather take a shot at the Hackett knowing, like, I'm not paying off draft picks. I need those at least. Like, maybe I can get good players, right? Maybe George, maybe they're George Patton. Maybe you can get some good players in the draft, right? And then that guy is going to get fired in a couple of years. It sucks to hire a coach knowing you're going to fire him. But no offense, aren't the Texans in a better position than the Broncos right now? They did
Considering,
that.
Well,
they are 2 coaches in a row they knew they were going to fire.
Yeah, I mean, if they give D'Amico Ryans time, I actually really like the hire for the Texans, but you got to give the guy more than they're in this run where they're firing coaches after 1 season. D'Amico Ryans needs to be given ample time there in Houston. But to your point, are they in a better spot? They have better draft capital. They have more cap space, I believe.
Better chance of having a better quarterback.
That division isn't Mahomes and Herbert. Yeah. That division is Trevor Lawrence, whose obviously stock is going up, but then it's Ryan Tannehill and nobody in Indy right now. I mean, so, yeah, it's an easier division for you to, flip it around. Like, if I told you the Texans win the division in 3 years, you can say, that's not that crazy. Not crazy.
That seems plausible.
If I tell you the Broncos,
depends on how good.
If I tell you the Broncos are winning the division any time in the next 3 or 4 years, you'd think I'm crazy. So
I would laugh at you.
Right, as you should. So that's
no chance of happening.
That's where the difference is for me. All right, let's get to Nick's notable notes.
Gotta write something down. Nick's notable notes.
All right, guys, don't know if you've heard the news. I didn't catch the first 45 minutes of your show today.
Where you been?
An all-time great decides to hang him up. Can you believe it?
I can't.
Yeah, we did see that news.
You did see the news. How do you guys think this affects the quarterback carousel in the NFL? Because when we talked about this over the last, month or so, we hadn't really discussed the possibility of Tom Brady retiring, which is silly considering it's 1 year to the date when he stepped away from football. Did you, honestly, had you guys considered it at all?
You
really tail end of the season
really
that he was going to...
weren't listening. You weren't lying.
No, I wasn't.
No, I did not consider that he wasn't going to play.
I thought he was going to play.
Yeah, I did not consider that he wasn't going to play this upcoming season.
Don't get mad at me for not listening. I'm training one of our up-and-coming superstar producers, Blake. Everybody say hi to Blake.
Hello, Blake.
Hi, Blake.
Blake says hi, and that he loves you guys.
So
don't let him
the Raiders were one of the favorites in Vegas to land him in Vegas, if that makes sense. And now we can, of course, wipe that clean. The Niners were going to be an interesting landing spot for Tom Brady. And, yeah, I think that's all off the table because I do believe Tom Brady is actually retiring. So it does have a trickle-down effect. I mean, if you're the Raiders, you should draft someone anyway. But now, to me, it ensures that they got to go draft somebody.
They're going to have to draft somebody, and then they're going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's definitely possible.
That feels like the Raiders.
Are we still... I brought this up to you guys a couple weeks ago, and you did not like it. But are we still not considering that the Niners may follow a similar... Or, excuse me, that the Raiders may follow a similar path that the Niners followed in not letting Derek Carr walk because they can't get proper compensation.
So we know right now they're not letting him talk with other teams, which is ridiculous. But no,
isn't that kind of the first
Derek Carr's
sign?
Derek Carr's not going to make $40-something million a year for the Raiders next year. No.
How much did Jimmy G make with the Niners this season?
20,
they restructured
25?
it. They restructured it. So
Could the Raiders not do something similar with Carr?
If you're Carr, why would you do that?
I wouldn't.
Why would Jimmy Garoppolo have done it last year, though?
He was hurt.
Exactly.
That was the part that I guess was a little bit different.
Derek Carr is hurt emotionally.
That's
that they benched him.
But that's kind of permanent.
That's the same thing.
That's also a difference between the two situations.
Sometimes those wounds last longer, Cody.
The emotional ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Often.
Another big transaction that was made yesterday, Sean Payton to the Broncos. Now, this move does reek of desperation, as you guys have outlined, but the Broncos seem like they're in a position where you have to be desperate, right? If you're looking at your situation with Russell Wilson and saying, this is awful, nothing can fix it, not just Sean Payton, but going back a second and a third time for DeMeco Ryans, going back a second and a third time for Jim Harbaugh, is that not the route that the Broncos should be taking, which is we can't afford to just go out and get a plucky young head coaching candidate. We have to go get someone who can fix this massive problem in our organization.
It's an overreaction to choosing the worst head coaching candidate.
They put all their chips forward, as we know, when they traded for Russell Wilson and gave him the extension. So that was last offseason. Like, all the chips are in the middle of the table. And now what they've done, they've actually borrowed money with a lot of people. Like, now they have...
People do that all the time.
Basically, they have loan sharks they owe money to now by doubling down and trading for Sean Payton and giving up draft compensation. So there is in big of debt, if you will, as you can possibly be in right now because of Russell Wilson. That's why Sean Payton's getting hired, is because of Russell Wilson, and they're just doubling down, and they're praying that a miracle happens, that they get 10 spins in a row of the roulette wheel and it lands on Russell Wilson's number, which is what, number 7 or whatever the hell he wears, 5? I don't know.
3,
sure.
Same number his whole career.
Whatever number that is. Maybe he should change numbers, actually. Maybe that would be a good idea.
Fix it. LeBron tried that a few times.
7 in Denver. I don't think anybody wore that number, so it's probably fine.
So maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's why I was thinking 7. Sure, exactly. Thank you, Cody. So that's their problem, is they were all in already, and now they've just completely double, triple, quadrupled down on it.
This seems like a dramatic overreaction. Like, you could have still unproven it.
But don't you guys think that the hole that they find themselves in warrants a strong reaction? The idea of, like, going out and getting some young coordinator in his first try as being a head coach, probably you need to hire the big guns to fix this issue.
No, because the entire career of their current GM is panic. And if I were the owner, I'd be like, cool, another panic.
I'd panic. I would be panicking if I were in charge of the Broncos.
But it was all the panic that got him there, man. He's still running around.
It's like the building's falling down. I don't want a guy who's like, no, it's cool here. We're good.
But, like, he was the engineer who built it. He's like, you know what? I kind of hot glued these two 2x4s together, and I don't know why my house is falling apart. You'd be like, well, I guess I'll put more hot glue on it.
So you want like the violinists from the Titanic. Like, everybody remain calm.
Yes.
This is cool. Everything's going to be fine.
Try to find some, like, calmness in this.
Let's
Maybe
get
you
to
can
the
find right
lifeboats in
answer.
a nice, calm, orderly fashion. What's going on? Who has had the more puzzling coaching search? The Broncos or the Colts, who we heard a couple of weeks ago. Maybe this is just bad reporting. That was Mike Florio, by the way, who reported that the Colts were down to Jeff Saturday and Eric Bieniemy. Then all of a sudden, the report comes out yesterday that they have now 9 finalists for their head coaching search.
This goes back to yesterday, though, as well. This goes back to yesterday.
Concur.
Where it's like Jim Irsay is interviewing 20-plus candidates, and that way he can come back and say, I had the widest search that any other owner had all year, and we settled and found out Jeff Saturday was the best of the bunch. But like I talked to 20 different guys. He continued to stand out time and time again.
Why does he love Jeff Saturday so much?
I don't know.
Because he doesn't want to look stupid. And he thinks he's like, everyone called him stupid for him the first time.
It's too late.
Talk about doubling down again. That's exactly what
Has he not understood that, yes, everybody thinks you're stupid, but doubling down on that stupid decision is not going to then make you smart? Unless Jeff Saturday ends up being an incredible head coach.
He's a big believer in that math principle of 2 negatives equal a positive.
Can we get playoff odds on the Colts next year?
And there's Super Bowl odds, I believe, already out for that.
Can I short those odds?
No.
Is there a way to do that in gambling?
Like the housing market? You'd like to short?
Yeah.
Super Bowl 58 odds are already out, and if for some odd reason you want to bet on the Indianapolis Colts, they are 70-1. Teams that are worse than them, the Seahawks, the Commanders, the Bears, the Cardinals, and the Texans.
Can I bet on them to not win the Super Bowl?
There's not a yes/no option on that, and if there was, it would be.
What would it be like?
I just
10 million?
I just told you it's 70-1 to win it, so no. Like
10 million to 1?
You would need to bet like $1 million probably just to get back.
Show fund.
Couple $1,000.
A few $1,000.
Show fund, guys.
Show fund.
We don't have $1 million.
We need 1 million heroes.
We just need to get the entire Kansas City market. We're like the metro area is what 1.7, just like the actual metro area.
Watch them draft like Bryce Young, and he's just an ass whip from day one.
And then he becomes the first ever rookie quarterback to make the Super Bowl.
I mean, Brock Purdy was very
Brock
close
Purdy was
till he got
close.
hurt. He was
a couple guys have gotten close, but it's still no one's done it.
Those are Nick's notable notes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nick and Blake. Appreciate it.
I feel like Blake did the hard work there.
Well,
Nick just
definitely.
kinda
You
talked
notice
a little.
everything got pushed on time? That's because Blake was ready. It's funny how that works.
Interesting.
As text line's right, just in case Nick leaves for Arrowhead Pride after next week, maybe next week could be it. Nick might be saying, you know what? Trip to Arizona, then I'm out, guys. Then I think he might be going and working
Get a
with
nice
Pete.
little free vacation on the company's dime,
That's
and then I'm
right.
out of here.
That's
Based
not a
on how
bad
smooth that
strategy
went,
for you.
This immediately feels like an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes situation. Like you're just standing there throwing check down.
How smooth what went?
He's saying that Blake, years from now, is going to say, you know what? Nick did a great job training me.
Oh, you know what?
Had you handled that Nick's notable notes?
Stop trying to turn Blake and I against each other. But you're going to make me defend myself. Blake hasn't done anything yet, okay?
Oh, I think
You
he
know
did a
what,
great
though?
job there.
This is exactly why it's the Alex Smith thing. You just did an entire Nick Notable Notes on our first hour of the show. You're just
Yeah.
doing Alex Smith checkdowns.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean
There's other
checkdowns?
things- Those are checkdown
We
topics.
did those topics already.
Yeah, but they're so good, they deserve to be hit again.
That's what Alex Smith feels about that 4-yard slant. I would say
So it worked so well. Let's go back to it.
Let's hit it again. We'll get Blake's.
McCluster's open in the flats.
Are you already trying to find the alliteration and
I was
stuff
trying
for
to
Blake?
decide. I'll have to get back to that. The
Blake's-
text line's always really good for that.
Yeah, Blake's.
We need the alliteration.
Jed Talks was good.
That's very strong.
And Jed will be, both Jed and Blake will be assisting next week while we are in Arizona.
Well, the show is going to run really, really smooth now. Smoother than normal.
Well, I'm still going to be involved. I will be there.
Everything's going to be pushed on time. Breaks will be set. Everything's going to be great.
Yeah, but there's other things I bring to the table, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why'd your voice raise when you say that?
No reason.
We're just answering your question, man.
Now it raised even more.
All right, coming up next, we get to the 11 o'clock hour. Is it actually a bad thing to win NFL MVP? I'll explain.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Filipponi here, bringing you the parlay of the day, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The line for Super Bowl 57 has already undergone several twists and turns. When the Chiefs finished off the Bengals, the initial line opened at KC -2.5. That was quickly bet the other way. The Eagles moved to a 2.5-point favorite. The line is now settled in at Eagles -1.5. So this has the potential to be one of the closest spreads in Super Bowl history. Build a parlay around the Eagles. They're the most complete team in football, with a dominant defense and explosive run game. That's it for the parlay of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app today and make every moment more with America's #1 sportsbook.
21 President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
This is for all you guys on Viagra. ED pills are no longer. The side effects like headaches, blurred vision, and that flush feeling can all be put behind you with our treatment. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. Guys, let me be clear. Pills will never fix your problem. Our equipment is the latest technology, and our medical staff is the best in the industry. And right now, we're offering a free treatment just for coming in. That's right. You can try this treatment at no cost. If you suffer from ED or Peyronie's disease, give West Coast Men's a call today. It's not just about better health. It's about a better life.
Call now, 913-363-9439. That's 913-363-9439. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Experience the future of connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivered fastest speed in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Choice for lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Compensated dramatization.
What if your car wreck case settled for $1,000 and you later found out that it may have been worth over $100,000?
Insurance companies try to trick you into taking a quick, cheap settlement. Don't fall for it. Call me. My team will get you what your case is worth.
I didn't take that fast, cheap settlement. I called Mike and his team after my wreck, and they got $125,000.
Call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this. If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic, inflation, I'm sure you could break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded refunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45 non-smoker can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month. Level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50 non-smoker can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500 $100,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for 800-786-9161. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-786-9161. Remember, 1-800-786-9161. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-smoker rate class. Exam required to qualify.
Nachos! Yeah, your nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just gonna eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks? What, seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
I had a nighttime routine for my heartburn. I would drink milk. I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Effective for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Motor Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
11 o'clock hour here. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwartz with you. Hour about 30 minutes away. We'll tie back into Tom Brady retiring and what it means for the AFC West, where the Las Vegas Raiders, of course, were one of the favorites to land his services. Now that's not going to be happening. So that's coming up in just a little bit. It's also a Wednesday, so that means we'll head to the sidelines and check in with Josh Klingler from the Chiefs Radio Network coming up around 12:30. Get his perspective on heading to Arizona. The Chiefs will take on the Philadelphia Eagles in a couple of Sundays. But we are also a little over a week away from Patrick Mahomes winning his second MVP in the National Football League. The NFL honors, they used to do it the night before the Super Bowl, but now they've backed it up. It's Thursday night. So next Thursday night, the winner of the MVP, which will be Patrick Mahomes, spoiler, will be announced. The question,
are you sure?
Yes. The question really will be just like, is he unanimous or not? And how close is Jalen Hurts? That's really what I'm curious about. And then, of course, there's other awards. Does Chris Jones finish second, or does he finish third for Defensive Player of the Year? That's the kind of stuff that we'll find out next week. I bring this up because I love looking at trends, and you can find trends to fit narratives. We all know this. This one was just interesting to me, and I don't think it has any impact.
Has a pretty good sample size, though, man.
And it has to do with regular season MVP award winners, with which Mahomes is about to be, and how do they fare in the Super Bowl. And there is a 9-0 track record here that you fade the NFL MVP in the regular season to lose in the Super Bowl. So the last MVP to play in the Super Bowl was Tom Brady in 2017. He lost. 2016, Matt Ryan was an MVP that year. He, of course, gave up a big lead.
He had a pretty good lead in that game.
He did, and they lost the 28-3 game. Cam Newton, 2015 MVP, lost. Manning, 2013. Manning, 2009. We can keep going. Brady in 07.
That's the undefeated year, the undefeated regular season.
Sean Alexander, one of the last running backs to win MVP. They lost in the Super Bowl. Rich Gannon in 02 was the regular season MVP. They lost to the Bucs. And then 01, Kurt Warner, of course, lost in that Super Bowl. The last quarterback to win MVP and also win the Super Bowl was actually Kurt Warner, but in 1999 with the St. Louis Rams.
So MVP winning quarterbacks are 1-9 in their last 10 in winning the Super Bowl.
Kind of weird, huh?
It doesn't seem weird. This actually does seem somewhat substantial. The reason why I actually think this does matter a little bit, because I think what's happened when I go back through the case of some of these, look, they're not all this way. Tom Brady definitely came into the year with the best team in 2007.
And Matt Ryan was up 28-3.
And Matt Ryan was up 28-3. So they had more than their chance. But the thing that stands out to me is I don't think that this is just a fluke. I think what's happened in a lot of these teams' cases, including Matt Ryan and Cam Newton, is they took inferior teams to a Super Bowl because they were having MVP seasons. I think that happened with the Sean Alexander case. I think that happened in a couple of the cases with the Peyton Manning situation. And I certainly think it happened in the two I just mentioned with Matt Ryan and Cam Newton. I think there's an argument that that's partially what's happened here with the Chiefs. That Patrick Mahomes is so good, that's how they ended up with 14 wins, and that's how they ended up in the Super Bowl. Not that they're a bad team, but this is the first time in a long time they're not the better roster.
They're not.
Let's be very clear. They're going into a game in which they do not have the better roster than the Eagles. Patrick Mahomes is the biggest reason why they're there, and that's the case most of the time with quarterback. The one thing that doesn't have me panic is he defies this stuff all the time. This franchise was cursed. They couldn't win a playoff game for years, and they still managed to jump that. So, like, if someone's going to defy this dumb list, Mahomes. I think it's real. I just also don't worry about it because of Patrick Mahomes.
So yeah, when I say like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's has no bearing on Patrick Mahomes. Has no bearing on something that happened in 2017 and 2005. Has no bearing on it. It is, but also it's not just Mahomes carrying an inferior team. What's different? He actually has a defense that just showed us is capable of finishing out a football game. Chris Jones was able to take over a football game. I don't disagree with you that the Eagles are by far the more talented roster through all 53. But as Nate Taylor pointed out with us yesterday, because of the play of the rookies here in the last 5-6 weeks,
maybe it's closer.
The gap is closing. It's a very interesting trend. It's one that obviously we'll talk about leading up. It's one in Philly I know they've been talking about for weeks because the minute they already saw in Philly that Jalen Hurts wasn't going to win it, that's quickly where they shifted. Like, well, hey, it's a good thing Jalen Hurts didn't win MVP or isn't going to win it, Cody, because that means he's going to win the Super Bowl. That was what they were saying in Philly. I tend to disagree.
Yeah, the real test of how much this matters is if I told you right now, Gold, not knowing what the Super Bowl results is, you could just give up Mahomes MVP, would you? You can. Not your MVP, doesn't matter. Would I
give it up?
Would you let Jalen Hurts win it instead right now if you got to choose? Like if you were really worried about it.
But still not guarantee the win in the Super Bowl? Well, then no.
Because
I'm not worried about that. It's Patrick Mahomes. You and I may disagree on the whole Brady-Mahomes argument and what it's going to take, but we're having an argument between who might end up being the number one or number two of all time. So I'm not, if he's the number one or number two of all time, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that trend.
But it caught Tom Brady twice.
But is that what do we think in 2017 that's why? Like, man, he just, because he was, if Tom Brady would have lost the MVP.
Because in 2007, that's not the case. They were undefeated going into that thing.
I don't believe that 50 AP voters or whatever it is that vote on the MVP essentially were saying if they make the Super Bowl, they're deciding who wins the Super Bowl. No, I don't believe that actually is happening.
No, although I don't know those Arian Foster quote tweets of the rigged NFL conversations were so good.
The thread was amazing. For those that don't know, he was on Barstool, I think it was, and they were talking about like the league being rigged. Because again, we saw this play out in college basketball last night as well. I shouldn't even say the new thing, but now we know nobody can just accept that their football team loses games. It's the automatic of now, like, clearly there's something that's rigged.
There's a script.
There's clearly something that's rigged. And then people were quote tweeting it with things that have happened that, like, how they explain the script. Like,
it's like a guy only's had like Brett Maher reading the script that says he has to miss 4 extra points in order to cost them the game.
Jason Pierre-Paul, like, oh man, I have to blow my face off on fire on 4th of July. That's part of the rigged script. Like, all the things that happened, it was great because it's not rigged. I'm sorry, it's not. As much as people love to believe that. This isn't the WWE.
We talk about sample size. That means 10% of the time there's a Super Bowl. Roughly. It's more like 8 or whatever. 10% of the time there's a Super Bowl. There's a MVP from the regular season. It makes sense, right? Not every MVP is going to get in there, but at least a fifth of the time the MVP shows up and you're going to be in the Super Bowl during that time. And they're always losing? Nothing
it's weird,
but
man.
L's?
It's weird. 9-0 run.
It's weird.
9-0 run. And it fading the NFL MVP in the Super Bowl. If you're just going off the trend, you're like, well, then I got to bet the Eagles. I mean, if you really believe it, that's exactly what you're going to do because Mahomes is going to win MVP next Thursday night. We have a rare treat as well. Nick is actually in studio with us because
he's abandoned his post.
He was training someone and now he said, tough, you know what, deal with it. And Nick came in here.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can. How are you? This is kind of weird.
This is so weird.
It really is.
It's like meeting my heroes. You might
as well get used to it because this is the kind of the setup we're going to have in Glendale.
That's what we're doing. You know,
this is a dry run.
Blake's going to be helping out. So everybody say hi to Blake. If you guys met Blake,
hi Blake.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Oh wow,
Andy knows how the mic works. Wow,
dude, this guy
sounded really crisp.
He's a prodigy.
Natural.
So he's going to be helping out when we're down in Arizona. So we got to see what he's got. It's like throwing out the back of the rookie quarterback
are you,
in preseason game number 4. Like, let's see.
Are you prepared though next week when we're doing the show, and since all three of us will be on site, like you're probably not gonna be able to have like full blown meals during the show like you normally do. Does Blake know that under your position he's allowed to eat all the food he wants now?
Not allowed. Mandated. I told him, I said, you need to eat at least one full meal, entree, and side dish during every show.
I've already meal prepped, actually, for every day. So.
That's definitely
smart.
a veteran move.
He's a natural.
Yeah.
He's a natural. The one thing I did notice when I came in here, Alex, this is specifically for you.
Sure.
I had no idea, and this is crazy because I've worked here for almost 2 years in close proximity to both of you. I had no idea without headphones on just how loud Cody talks during the show. It is.
Is it jarring?
My headphone volume has to be turned down.
You can't tell when you have headphones on, when these big padded headphones.
Is it bad?
I mean,
is it
I don't
bad?
know if it's bad. It's
he's
just
whispering now.
It's just loud. Yeah, now you're like, now you're nervous.
Really low? Is this
Well, no,
better?
you are an animated talker. I think everybody knows that.
That's in real life, though. That's not put on for the show. I'm like this all the time.
I mean, I think we all talk very loud. Like, I think in general, I get accused of that
dangerous.
in general.
It's dangerous because when one of us starts talking loud,
well, sure.
the other one's like, well, I must talk louder now. Otherwise, no one will be able to hear me.
Yeah, we don't have these microphones that amplify us in front of us or anything. No.
But the microphones don't seem to impact at least one of us. And it's not about who that person is. Cody, it's not about who that person is.
Feels like you were walking in here.
I didn't have headphones on.
On. You're like,
God,
does Cody
so
just
loud.
yell in here the whole time?
Every listener's like, duh, you new here?
Pretty much the top text every day is,
Why is Cody
yelling so much today? Well, the top text when we came back from break was, when is Cody eating the new egg salad sandwich in the kitchen?
It's in there.
That's a question that needs to be answered.
No, I already ate an egg salad sandwich. It's somebody else's turn on this show to eat it.
You didn't develop a hankering for them?
Nope. Turns out I don't want a worse version of the same thing I already ate. Because there's no doubt that one's worse.
I would think so.
He got his fresh from like a deli at like a grocery store. There's no way it's worse.
Fresh from a deli.
Well,
it was prepackaged.
Well, yeah, but this thing's prepackaged and it sits in there for like 2 weeks. So
there's no way that cooked egg with mayonnaise is not designed to hold it for 2 weeks.
Oh, dude. By the way,
just not designed.
Easiest name for Blake's segment.
We just got the name.
Yeah, Blake's Takes. There it is.
Why is the text line so much better at this than we are?
I don't know.
I told you the text line's never wrong, man.
See, I've done a Blake's Takes before previously, so we might have to do a different one.
Wait, does somebody else own it?
Yeah,
no, nobody owns it. Nobody owns it.
But we don't want his recycled material. We want fresh.
I want the new stuff.
Fresh.
I mean, it's not like you didn't go Justin Bieber and sell your entire albums for $200 million, or you can never own the rights to your songs. You still use Blake's Takes; they're still yours.
Little thing called intellectual property. If he made it on somebody else's dime, it's theirs now.
Are they using it?
Are they a litigious bunch?
Well, then it's yours.
I'm looking for
I'll own
some
it.
options.
I like the alliteration, though. I mean,
Blake's Takes.
The babbling Blake or something.
That's a rhyme, Blake, not an alliteration. Alliteration
All
starts
right,
with the
Blake,
same.
Take it easy, Blake.
Got too comfortable.
Yeah,
No,
got
that's
too
definitely the same
comfortable.
letter.
Blake's Takes?
No, babbling Blake.
Oh, babbling Blake. Yeah, we're good there. Babbling Blake. I like Blake's Takes better, though. And we'll have to workshop this.
Well, we got a couple days.
Till next week, right?
We'll get to the trash of the day. I can't wait to get to this one. It involves sports and actually what happened at a high school in particular. That's coming up in about 6 minutes or so. But we've reached the point of the show where Cody talks about someone that will never age. And now we've bumped up the age to 7 more years
I don't remember
of
what
playing
I said last, but
as of yesterday.
I might get to 10 or 12 by the time this season's over. I think it's really important to know, like we talk a lot about legacy and all the things that come with this from the playoff stuff. And obviously a lot of that comes up with Mahomes for the conversations we were having earlier about whether or not he can catch Brady. But we all realize, right, that it's just as important to have Travis Kelce available to you in the postseason. He is one of the single greatest postseason performers in NFL history. He is second in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, only to Jerry Rice. Like, it's hard sometimes to put in perspective, and this is probably why we wanted to bury all these people that were trying to, like, put tight ends together. But there is no answer for Travis Kelce. I went back to that Cincinnati game, and then you realize how easy Marquez Valdez-Scantling's job is.
Yeah, you said it right. See, that's
because
key.
Travis Kelce exists. He makes the offense go no matter who the wide receivers are. That's why this whole, like, I go back to this whole year and this whole, like, how Tyreek Hill must be feeling. Because I've seen him respond to 2 different players on the Eagles saying, hey, man, congrats and good luck. He's not sent a single Chiefs tweet to any of them. So he's clearly feeling a little sour about missing out on what would have been yet another Super Bowl trip but the reason why it all works, the reason why you can let go of guys like Tyreek Hill is because Travis Kelce.
Yeah, by the way, real quick, I hope Tyreek Hill, it needed to be said, I hope his podcast broadcasts live from Radio Row in Arizona. He's got plenty of free time to do that this year.
Has he done one since the season started?
Nope.
He took a break. Unlike the Kelce's who kept doing their podcast and went to the Super Bowl.
It's been done for a couple weeks.
It's been over now for a while.
I think the lesson here is never stop doing your podcast. Jason and Travis Kelce kept doing their podcast in
Or
the Super Bowl.
have we considered that after the 7th episode in which he talked about his exit from Kansas City that he ran out of material?
Or that the interest started to go away?
I mean, there's plenty
Imagine if we did the exact same topic every single day.
Like the Travis Kelce one?
But to your point about...
That wasn't even a shot, but if you want to go there,
But to your point about Kelce, obviously, yeah, I mean, this guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's going to go down most likely as the greatest tight end of all time. And so, yeah, that's the importance cannot be understated. Look what happened on Sunday night when you were down to, as you pointed out, MVS and Sky Moore and Marcus Kemp as your other options. And then Travis Kelce... We've maintained when they've made decisions, and whether it was trading Tyreek Hill, you're able to trade away Tyreek Hill. You're able to go and sign 1-year wide receiver contracts when you have Kelce. My only concern ever about what this offense is going to be, we've said this a couple times on the show, was when Travis Kelce no longer is that 1,200, 1,300 yard. You can continue to get by with how they're approaching wide receiver as long as Kelce is Travis Kelce. The minute he slips, whenever that day comes or he retires, that's when having a legit number one is important, because you will lose what is now your legit number one, and his name is Travis Kelce.
Sure, but the way that this has ended up working, so as much as we have the conversation is like you can't win a Super Bowl and have a high-priced quarterback, which, again, got ruined last year when Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, who wasn't on the roster, were making a combined like $45 million. Having Travis Kelce and only having to pay him like $15 million is the same as having a quarterback on a rookie contract. Because what other teams, like the teams who have quarterbacks on rookie contracts, pay like $30 million a year to wide receivers, like A.J. Brown, right? Because they can afford the weapons. When you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes making that amount of money, you have to make different decisions. But because you have Travis Kelce making, in my opinion, half as much as the contemporaries who produce at the level he does, certainly in the regular season, in the postseason, it's your version of having a guy on a rookie contract because you don't have to pay him nearly his worth as far as what the NFL says a number one wide receiver gets across the board. And he impacts the game more than a number one wide receiver does. Because when it's Jamar Chase, we all understand how these things work. You try to cover him one-on-one for a while, you shadow with a safety, but because Travis Kelce's versatility, it impacts a lot of different areas. It impacts the linebackers and the safeties and the corners, depending on how you're going to handle these situations. It's a more impactful position to me than just wide receiver if you're as good as he is. I get it. It's not the same as if you're just running with some middle-of-the-road tight end. But when you're as good as he is, it affects all three levels of the defense, which is not something you would ever say about a wide receiver.
913-586-7610. You guys can always interact with us on the text line. Someone wants to know, is Travis Kelce a Super Bowl MVP bet smart? The trouble is, if let's say Kelce gets if Kelce gets 3 touchdowns, that means Mahomes most likely has 3 touchdowns,
or 4,
or more. So that's so I don't agree.
Would you bet on Kelce over Chris Jones?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. No, I would not.
I wouldn't either. Because Chris Jones could do a standalone thing on his own that doesn't involve Mahomes,
right?
I can pull them up. Yeah, to answer your question, though, again, Cody was about to explain it there. Like, no, I would rather bet on Chris Jones in that scenario because, to me, any offensive player that has a huge game, it probably involves Patrick Mahomes.
You have to choose a running back like Pacheco, who could technically do 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. It doesn't necessarily involve Mahomes.
Whereas Chris Jones can have 2 sacks and a strip fumble, and it's the sack that seals the game.
It's the Malcolm Butler moment.
I mean, honestly, let's be as great as Mahomes was on Sunday. If that was the Super Bowl and we actually gave out an MVP award, I would have given it to Chris Jones.
We would have.
But the league would have given it to Patrick Mahomes.
Remember, it's the people in the those in the press box or whatever will vote on the Super Bowl MVP.
It feels like that happens every year. We're like, oh, so-and-so, this receiver had a great game. This running back had a great game. This linebacker had a great game. And then the quarterback always wins it. 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Kelsey's 13-1 to win MVP. Chris Jones is 50-1.
In the year Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl MVP, I think you could have
50-1.
I think, that's a much better bet. I think in the year
$25 to win $12.50.
The year Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP, I still think you can make a really strong argument. Damian Williams should have won it. Like, I think you can make a really strong argument that Damian Williams could have won Super Bowl MVP.
Pacheco and Chris Jones have the same odds to win the Super Bowl MVP. Both 50-1. Jerick McKinnon also 50.
In fairness, the wide receivers won it 2 of the last 4 years. So, I mean, it's not impossible.
There is no way Isaiah Pacheco can win Super Bowl MVP. At no point, and it's nothing against him.
They're not going to run enough?
At no point this season have we ever left a game.
12 carries?
Have we ever left a game this season, one time this season, and said Isaiah Pacheco was the best player on the field? One time.
No.
So the fact that his, that's you cannot bet that.
Chris Jones and Mahomes are the 2 bets to look at.
What is Isaiah Pacheco going to run for $140 and 2 touchdowns? No way. And that's what it would take for him to win Super Bowl MVP.
In the last 15 years, 3 wide receivers have done it, 2 linebackers have done it, and the rest are quarterbacks. So, I mean, you got pretty good odds 2/3 of the time you're going to get a quarterback in there, and then choose either the best defensive player in the field who has, try to find the guy who has, like, the game ceiling.
Well, that's why Hassan Reddick's 34-1 to win Super Bowl MVP.
He was at 40.
But that's when you're talking about,
people think the Eagles are going to win nationally, at least.
Reddick and Chris Jones are the 2 best value bets in the grouping because it's nobody else on the Chiefs defense unless somebody's coming up with multiple picks.
No, I think,
and they're not they're not that kind of turnover team typically.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is interesting. Jalen Hurts is, I mean, of course, the Super Bowl MVP comes from whoever won the game, but like the way they run their offense, it's more likely that an offensive player outside of Jalen Hurts wins it than an offensive player outside of Mahomes wins it. You agree with that? Like, based off of how those offenses operate? Like, Miles Sanders could have a huge game, actually.
Or A.J. Brown, who's had several big ones.
Yeah, A.J. Brown's tricky, though, because like, if A.J. Brown has 7 catches for $150 and 2 touchdowns, that means Jalen Hurts has well over $150 and 2 touchdowns as well. So it's...
Well, the rushing
and
yards
run,
for him.
And he's going to run.
I don't know.
I just think
feel like
running backs...
I don't bet that very often. I don't think I ever bet, guessing Super Bowl MVP. It feels like I'm just better off
I think
betting other parts.
Hey, Arizona, legal betting state. While we're out there, legal betting state. First
What would
Super
you have
Bowl
done
ever.
if it wasn't? You would have just been sitting out here.
Well, I would have made my bets before I went out of town. But it's the first time the Super Bowl is in a legal betting state, so that adds some fun to it. All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
All right, this one involves a high school basketball player. And I'll play you the news story, and it has to do with someone impersonating a JV girls basketball team. So this actually comes from Wavy TV 10 out of Hampton Roads, Virginia. Just take a listen.
All right, file this one under one of the strangest stories I've ever heard of and talked about. Last Friday, we received an email from the mother of a player on the Churchland High School girls JV basketball team that an assistant coach on the team named Arlisha Boykins impersonated a 13-year-old player on the team that was out of town for a club basketball tournament. Here's video from that game. Churchland is in the black uniforms. Number 1 right there that just came up with the black block shot. We're told that is Arlisha Boykins. They were taking on Nansman River. This video has been edited to show you some of the highlights. Arlisha is apparently a 22-year-old young woman going up against 14 and 15-year-old girls. Now, we have confirmed that Boykins is no longer an employee of Portsmouth Public Schools, and since this game, the student athletes on the team and parents decided to just end the season. They will not be playing any more games this year. Portsmouth Public Schools did launch an investigation into this matter. The details have not been revealed by officials quite yet. Now, I spoke with the father of the 13-year-old girl that was being impersonated. Here's what he had to say about his reaction when he heard the news.
Coaches, always preach to the kids, about integrity and those type of things. So I was just shocked. I just need, an apology, because I haven't yet received one from, the overseer of the program or nothing. He just came out and just told us the stipulations of what was going to happen, but there was no apology issued personally to us, even in his presence.
We're going to follow up with this story if more information comes out. Those parents told me today that they are simply just seeking an apology from Churchland school officials.
So there's a 22-year-old assistant basketball coach out there on the court just beating up on some 13s.
Dude, she's like doing like the 3 goggles in their face and swatting it away. Which, by the way, if they're like, Cody, you got to pretend to be a JV kid, you're going to play against a bunch of 12-year-olds. I do the same thing. If you're going to make me play in this game, I'm going to dominate. Right?
How did it even get to this point?
I'm going to go all in against these kids.
How did it get to this point, though? Like,
how did teammates let this happen?
How did the other kids on the team not say to the coach, like, hey, what are you doing? How did nobody in the stands, parents that watched the game, like, That's clearly our assistant JV basketball coach out there playing.
Yeah, I'm sure they did at first, and then they're like, well, let's go say something. And then the game started, and she pulls up from 25 feet and buries it. And they said, well, let's see how this plays out for a little bit.
She did a standing foot swat where she didn't even move. Just like a dismissive, like, I'm not even going to jump to bury this thing.
At some point, you just appreciate the humor and say, well, if they can't catch this themselves, then they deserve it.
Why did they, the one part that sucked, the kids did nothing wrong, right? This was all the JV coach who got fired, as you heard there. But why did they cancel and forfeit the rest of the season? That seems crazy to me. Like, why is the JV girls team giving up the rest of the year because their assistant
coach should probably quit.
I honestly don't get that. What's the girls just don't want to play at all? Like, they're like, we're just done. We're just done. That makes no sense.
Dude, I'm sure the school is probably embarrassed that they let this happen. Which again, how
did the refs also not notice that this is a 23-year-old out there playing basketball?
It's like that scene from the Benchwarmers.
Yeah, when it just says, I am 12, and he's got like a $100 bill in it.
On a piece of green construction paper. Yeah. Dude, it was the first thing I noticed when I pulled up that video was like, gosh, she's getting buckets. Like she's dominating. Like whenever you go to like the hoop highlight tapes for whenever KU signs like a top 10 player in the country, like, oh, let me go check out his high school highlights. That's what it looked like. Like, wow. Looks like a man amongst boys. She looked like a woman amongst girls.
Do we know if she's got former experience at all? Is she like,
I'm not sure yet.
Like high school prodigy that just never made it in college?
Looked like that wasn't her first time picking up a ball. I'll tell you that much.
Well, she was a girls basketball coach, so I'm sure there was probably some background. Minimum, she probably was pretty good in high school. If not, she played at a small school or something like that.
What if she ends up getting like a scholarship offer because of this? Like, hey, you got any eligibility left?
I would say, does she have eligibility is the question.
At 22 years old, because she dominated 13-year-olds.
The parents just want
sixth graders.
The parents just want an apology, which is like, okay,
that seems reasonable.
Okay, fine. Just apologize, school district, and move on.
I'm just trying to think, like, that age gap would be like Ruby, who plays 6-year-old soccer, and it'd be like a 16-year-old going in there and be like, all right, guys, let's ball. Just like trying to play like little kid soccer and just like firing bullets into the back of the net.
Cody, I think you should do this. When Desmond gets of age, you should offer to be an assistant coach on his basketball team, and then one day just show up in uniform, go through the layup line, and then see if anybody notices.
The Taft family did do this once, but it was different.
What?
Hold on. So my younger brother, one who's a couple years younger than me, they were short a player on a baseball team once, and my older brother played on it for a game.
How many years different? Or gap?
Probably a decade.
Wait.
Probably a decade.
Can we explore this? We're up against the break, but I feel like we need to
have them explain it better, but it actually, the Taft family is guilty of this action.
More details on how Cody's family has clearly cheated in sports for a very long time. Plus, we'll get to the Chiefs Red half hour and back into something that I thought we agreed to slam the door on, but Cody wants to open it back up with Mahomes and Brady.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino, this football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on BetMGM's app or website. With one game parlay, you can make selections within any single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into this promotion and then place an NBA one-game parlay wager of 4 legs or more, and you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
With inflation on the rise, you may be charging more to your credit card. But be careful. That increased debt can cause your credit score to suffer.
Don't get stuck with a low credit score and a mountain of high-interest credit card debt. Call Golden Oak Lending now.
Refinance with our low rates to wipe out your high-interest credit card debt and put extra cash in your pocket. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, February 1st, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Oak Ridge Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 913-295-8000. That's 913-295-8000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Oak Ridge Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday. 913-295-8000.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
It's the final days to save big store-wide at the Truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, get deals on select major appliances and take home what you buy same day. And save an additional 10% on all in-store clearance appliances. Plus, get savings on even more items across the store, like up to 40% off select bathroom products. Hurry and head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowe's.com to shop the Truckload event today. Exclusions apply. While supplies last, selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Valid 1/26 through 2/8.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly complicated. But Discover isn't like that. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Mostly cloudy, not as cold today with a high of 37. Weather brought to you by Total Wine & More. At Total Wine & More, save big on what you love this month with hundreds of deals on amazing wines and spirits. Love what you find at the lowest prices only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. B21.
This report is brought to you by KC Customs. We put the customs in KC. KC-Customs.com. Guys, is your STD stressing you out, keeping you awake? Stock truck depression is real. Go see the pros at KC Customs. They have the truck accessories to cure your STD. Don't delay. Get to KC Customs at 8670 Green Hills Road today.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour presented by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way at the all-new Greenway Ford. We'll get back into Tom Brady's retirement and a conversation that I thought we agreed to put aside for a little while, but it has been brought back up today. Cody and I certainly differ on what actually is realistic in the Mahomes versus Brady scenarios, what actually has to happen, I should say. But right before the break, we were going through the trash of the day. There was a 23-year-old, 22-year-old assistant JV basketball coach that impersonated a 13-year-old, as in played in a JV basketball game, played through the whole game, has since been let go. The team has decided not to finish the rest of the season. And we're trying to figure out, how does it happen? And Cody, right before break, dropped the bomb on us and said, my brother, he was 10 years older than a sibling. Okay. Yeah. And so guess who is called in? A member of the Tapp family. This is Seth, right? That's correct. This is Seth, your brother, one of your brothers. Thanks for calling in. I'm glad to hear that, in a way, that this is you and not Cody, because man, I don't think Cody could have taken another strike here. So I'm glad that this was something that you did. So what you cheated as well?
I guess so. I mean, the younger brother cheated. He asked me to play, and I played.
So
I didn't do that.
Did anybody at any point question your age during that game?
No, because I was like 25 years old, and I looked like I was 17, and they let me play. The coach, here's what happened. Our younger brother, Stefan, had a doubleheader. He said he called me at work and said, will you come watch my doubleheader tonight? He's like 17 years old. I was 25, 26. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll come watch that doubleheader. And then he called me a few minutes later and said, well, the doubleheader is going to be canceled. We only had 8 guys. This wasn't a high school team. This was, one of his little
club ball,
summer, fall ball. And I said, all right, that sucks. Too bad. I was like, hey, tell your coach, dress me. I'll come in and play. Oh, crap. Hold on, guys. 1 second, okay?
Okay. What's happening?
All right, we're putting him on hold. By the way, he sounds just like you.
Seriously, Cody?
I don't know what happened.
No, he's way quieter than Cody.
Quieter? Clearly at the office because he said, I got to hold on.
Should we check back? Is he getting pulled over?
What's going on?
I don't know. I'm not in his car.
All right, we're putting you back live on the radio, Seth. All right, let's see if Seth is there now. This is your brother.
Cody, this is your
brother. Looks like he's still on hold. Oh, no, there he is.
Not on hold.
All right, so what happened?
All right, so I made a joke, and I said, tell your coach to dress me. I'll come out and play. And Stefan laughed. And then he called me back like a half an hour later and said, my coach says, do it, because they didn't want to give up the doubleheader. I was like, that's insane. I'm not going to actually come play. And he said, no, come on, do it. And I was like, all right. So I went out there to Mackin Park. They had a uniform for me. His coach came out, and he said, listen, just keep your head down. Don't hit any home runs or anything. I was like, I'm out of the 9 kids playing on this team, and I'm one of them. Trust me, I'm going to be number 9. I'm going to be the 9th best player on your team. Don't worry. I was so far removed from playing any kind of sports, and I'm not even a good athlete to begin with. And the very first at bat, I hit one right off the wall, right off the fence, and I was like, God, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. But I ended up hitting, I was hitting 9th. I got a double and a single, and I struck out a couple of times. Kid had a nasty slider. And then in the second, they put me in left field. I didn't make a single play. Then they put me at second base in the second game, and I had a couple of grounders hit to me, and I think I hit another single, and I popped out a couple of times. And that's all I did.
Did they ever find out?
No.
Until today. Thank you, Seth. Appreciate you.
And I filled in for a kid named Carl, and then Cody, remember our niece, Jaden? She called me Carl for years after that because they kept yelling Carl at me. So that's what happened.
Okay.
Yes, we cheated, won both games. I was a small factor.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Seth. Thanks for calling in. Okay, so
there you have it.
Huh. I like he's a little more honest than you. He
what do you mean?
The
two of you lie so much on this show, and I'm the one being called dishonest.
What the hell did I do?
He flat out said, he goes, I'm not very athletic. I was like, wow. So he's understanding of his athleticism.
And why are you roping me in? He's the one hurling accusations.
Have I ever said I'm athletic on this show?
At times. But anyway, people on the text line think he sounds like you. Now, Nick's correct. He's not as loud as you, but he does sound like you. He's definitely
more reserved.
He's definitely your brother. 100% your brother.
I guess if you were playing fall ball, I assume at Mackin, so it's probably like the North Kansas City baseball. If he was 17, he's born like 87, so you're talking about like the early 2000s, 2005-ish is probably what you're looking at. Just know that if some guy looked a little bit older, your team got cheated. You lost that doubleheader twice, and you should have never lost it. You should have 2 more wins in the win column. Maybe your division title was taken away from you. I don't know.
Wow.
But the Tapp family is like to formally apologize now.
You are okay.
Formally apologize now, 20 years later, for our egregious actions.
So let's get to some Chiefs football. It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour, and Tom Brady announced his retirement earlier today. Everybody knows that, I would assume, by now. He actually, I think, based off of his comments, is going to retire. And we'll get into more about what it means for him and the rest of the AFC in a little bit. But I did think there was a conversation we agreed to put aside after the Chiefs lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl, which was, hey, we can't even have a Brady versus Mahomes argument until Tom Brady, has retired, and we know the definitive total, 7, which it looks like that'll be the final total of rings. And if Mahomes, to me, gets into that 5 number, which would put it into that realm to even like start to do it. And I think he's on the path, if he gets a ring next weekend, to get to his second in 3 tries, and he's only 27, sure. But this notion that Mahomes can get to like 4 rings, even 5, and that you can truly have a strong argument that he would surpass Brady, I don't know how you can make that argument unless you're just living in Kansas City. That's it, man.
I don't think that this is, I understand this. Somebody who's listening to this who's in New England or, I don't know, Tampa, whoever, just a Tom Brady fan, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is the most Homer conversation ever. You're going to entertain the possibility? I'm not saying I bet on it. I'm not saying it'd be the betting favorite. But if there is anyone on earth right now that I've seen play quarterback who has a chance to do it, it's Mahomes.
Well, obviously, yeah.
He's got a chance for his second Super Bowl title before the age of 28. Tom Brady had 3 in his 20s, 2 in his 30s, 2 more in his 40s. Okay, so even if it's the inverse, if he gets this one, that's 2 in his 20s. 3 in his 30s doesn't seem crazy. He has been in 3 Super Bowls in 5 years in his NFL career as a starter. They went to overtime, Gold, in the other 2 AFC title games. He is on the doorstep of a Super Bowl every single year he plays in the NFL. Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls, certainly lost to more AFC title games. And the reason why he was able to even get to that number is because of this. I think you can entertain it if you get to 5. Because then to me, it's just like any other argument about ring chasing that goes in there. I understand that there'll be a little bit of crossover in the time in which they played. I understand that they played in a head-to-head Super Bowl. But to me, it's the same argument as LeBron versus Jordan are the ones people get tired of. Or like Bill Russell versus Jordan if you want, because those are 2 different eras and one guy has a substantially
different
more.
Eras of
yeah,
the sport.
but like one guy has way more rings. Baseball, we don't really ring count the same way as far as greatest of all time, so it doesn't really work the same way. We don't count like World Series against each other because baseball's a much more difficult sport to do it. Or like Tiger versus Jack Nicholson, right? Tiger's the best golfer of all time. I don't care that he has less. Or Nicklaus, sorry.
I think he's a better golfer than Nicholson. I think he is.
I don't really care. I don't really care that Tiger has less majors than Jack Nicklaus. He is the better golfer. To me, Patrick Mahomes is the single most talented quarterback to ever play in the NFL. If he gets to 5 rings, honest to God, I don't even care how he gets to him, Gold. If he gets to 5 rings, I think he's the best quarterback of all time. Right now, that is Tom Brady. It is a long way before we're going to have this conversation. But I like somebody tried to make me just like bury it. Not you. It's just like, oh, you know what? Well, Tom Brady retired. He's the greatest of all time. So that's it. I'm like, I'm not willing to just say it's a lock because I think it's Mahomes got a chance.
I get why we're talking about today. Tom Brady's retiring today. But I do think, like, to me, it's not after today. It's not a conversation that I think needs to almost be discussed until Mahomes gets another couple of rings. Is all I'm saying. Like you're so far away from it. Like I know Cody, you know how difficult it is. You're talking. I know you're not saying they're automatic. You're like, hey, he just needs 3 in his 30s and 2 more here. Like these things are being handed out like candy. Like but Mahomes, we saw.
But to me, it's not like candy because like Mahomes already is just so different.
He is different, and he is the most talented quarterback anybody has ever seen play that position and play that sport. But that doesn't, that certainly doesn't mean that it automatically is going to equate. Like we just got done having a conversation earlier this week about how spoiled we are in Kansas City that they've hosted 5 straight AFC title games like that. And so like naturally, I think people assume that they're going to host 5 more. Like, no, that's not guaranteed either. It's not guaranteed you're going to host 5 more. It's not guaranteed that he's going to go to 6 more Super Bowls. I would love for that to be the case, but so much has to happen. Now, let me play along.
I do think I think he's going to at least 5 more.
Let me play along and say that he gets to even the 5 that you're saying. I don't know. I really don't. How on earth you can put Mahomes at 5 compared to 7 above Tom Brady. Sorry. And you can say the head-to-head shouldn't matter. It does when we're talking about number 1 and number 2. Like, in general, yeah, we don't compare Eli Manning because he beat Tom Brady. No, because nobody's trying to make the argument that Eli Manning's better than Brady. We're trying to make the argument, is Mahomes down the road going to be better than Brady? Again, not just talented.
It's just a team sport, though. It's 22 people. I know it's quarterback versus quarterback, but we know that the Bucs were the better team.
But the way it's trending, I feel like you're going to try to, if Mahomes ends up with 4 rings, try to tell me he's the greatest quarterback of all time as well. I feel like that's where this is going to end up.
Like I'm just going to slowly lower it?
Yeah, I would sign up for 4 rings right now for Mahomes because it's very difficult to do, and that'd be ridiculous. Like, as much as it's easy to sit here, he's 27 years old, but how many times do we have conversations also about, man, look at these quarterbacks in the AFC, and now you got Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Like, I would love to sit here and tell you that Mahomes is gonna win 7 rings, but like that's just like that is the reason why we talk about Brady the way we do is because it's unheard of. It's not normal. Mahomes also isn't normal. I get that. He could end up with 4 rings and be the second best quarterback of all time, but that's not easy to do. If you want to even think he's getting to 4 or 5, he has to beat the Eagles in 2 weeks.
He has to win. Like, this goes back to the Brady conversation we had a couple of years ago if we thought we were going to really entertain it. But at the time, so here's the other part about the goal, to be like, well, I thought we kind of buried it after that. It's like, well, I have more evidence. And I know that it's like, well, how much more? They didn't go to the Super Bowl last year. I'm like, because I'll be honest, I didn't think there was going to be, like, as great as Patrick Mahomes is, I didn't think he was going to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. I didn't think he would be, like, in overtime in the other 2 he didn't go to. So in every single year, the shortest Mahomes comes in any particular setting is losing in overtime in the AFC title game. I don't think.
Right, but he's going to have to win more rings than just 1 or 2. I mean,
absolutely.
Jim Kelly was 0-4, right? And we don't we think he's great, but like he's not. You got to win him eventually, or people will view in a certain way. Fortunately, Mahomes already has one in his back pocket. This is what's weird. This is what happens when we're talking about truly guys that are this special and great, Brady and Mahomes. It's not a fair scale because it is insane. It's not. Nobody's debating anymore whether he's going to be a Hall of Famer or whether he's going to go down as a top 5 quarterback. We are talking about whether or not he has a chance to go down as the best.
Someone asked me right now if he retired today, where would you put him in the top quarterbacks of all time? Mahomes, I was like, I don't know, 5.
Realistically, I think probably
5. I'm dead serious. Top 5?
Realistically, probably like top 7. Yeah, like being realistic about it, and
I don't care about the guys who have more rings than him that I know he's better than, like Terry Bradshaw. He's better than Terry Bradshaw.
I know, but then it's the balance. But then it's the balance of like we're also like there has to be a balance between what I'm saying about the rings mattering and what you're saying. Like we can't just throw the rings and say the rings don't matter at all. Like we can't do that.
Dude. Alex is throwing things across the studio.
The bottle was empty.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I know. God, it's so violent.
We're still friends
like
at the end of the day.
So violent.
It's like Ken Dorsey throwing his laptop. I don't feel safe in here anymore.
Yeah, Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, we know your take on Ken Dorsey.
You just back me up for a minute. We had a chance.
You're a snowflake.
We had a chance. He said we had a chance. He was hoping for that moment of you guys could come together.
We had a moment. You just.
I call it how I see it, man. That's why they always call me Straight Shooting Nick.
Nobody's called you that.
Wow.
Never in your life.
That's actually how he introduced himself to me.
Have you ever in your life been called Straight Shooting Nick?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people say, Nick, there's one thing about you. You're a straight shooter.
It's impressive for you to be lying in the middle of this.
And then other people will nod in agreement. They'll say, that's true. People do say that.
It's not, Gold, I just think it's case by case. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, one guy who has 4 Super Bowl rings is not created equal with another guy who has 4 Super Bowl rings. They're not compatible to me.
Right, but a guy that ends up with 2, even if he's more talented, doesn't automatically that's very tough for me.
Agreed. I wouldn't put Eli Manning above Terry Bradshaw. I'd put Patrick Mahomes, the single most talented quarterback of all time. It's case by case. That's why I wouldn't have any trouble putting him 5th. Like I wouldn't have any. Like I'd feel not bad about it for 1 second. Be like, yeah, he's already a top 5 quarterback of all time.
Now, will you agree if Mahomes doesn't beat the Eagles, will you put this one aside for 5 years? Or 4? No,
man. Okay, just as long as he doesn't win like 3 of those 5, sure.
Oh, sure. Okay.
It's probably likely to be 5 years. Okay. Yeah, that feels right. I'm willing to put it to bed for a few.
Because my guess is if the Chiefs beat the Eagles in a couple Sundays, one of the the day after or one of the days after, we will end up having this conversation.
Probably. What would it take to catch him?
At that point, at least he'd have 2 in his back pocket. Then we can then he's on pace. Then he's actually pacing in the right direction.
Yeah, then he's accomplishing similar feats that Brady accomplished in his 20s, right? Which is all you're really asking for.
The good news to help Mahomes get that second ring is the defense right now is in a spot where you really haven't been all that often under Andy Reid or with Patrick Mahomes. This defense is going through a rare stretch of forcing turnovers, and I think, as we all agree, kind of peaking at the right time. They forced multiple turnovers in 4 straight games. That's actually the second longest streak since Mahomes has been the quarterback. You got to go back to 2021
for a team that wasn't taking the ball away at all.
Yeah, 7-game streak. Yeah, it's remarkable. The 180. The Chiefs had 4 streaks of 5 to 7 games in a row of multiple turnovers from Reid, coach team, 2013 to 2017. Of course, Alex Smith was the quarterback. But this is the second best stretch of Mahomes' career with the defense getting him turnovers. in consecutive games. They, of course, are going to hope that becomes 5 straight games against Philadelphia. But that's also how you go into this game where you maybe aren't the most talented team in the football game. The Eagles are. This is how you overcome that. Not only do you have the better quarterback and a guy that we're having a conversation about whether or not he's going to go down as the greatest of all time, but you have a defense that the Eagles are going to have to deal with right now that's playing with a lot of confidence, that's forcing turnovers.
You don't fear that that's unsustainable? This is a team that was not getting turnovers at all. And you're right, 4 straight, but it's like, are they going to go 5 straight? I mean, they weren't getting the ball for 3/4 of the season this year.
I think at this point, with what they've done in the playoffs and what we just saw them do to Joe Burrow and Cincy, I don't think the defense is turning back into a pumpkin. Because they haven't.
No, I don't think that. I told you all year I thought that they would slowly get better, and I think that we all knew that just based on their age, right? That as time went on, they'd get better. But the turnover thing, I didn't think that was ever going to shift because the same thing we were talking about. I was like, who's the dude? Who's the guy? Who's the Tyrann Mathieu, right? Who's the Ed Reed? I don't care. Choose your favorite player performers from any team over the course. Who's the guy who's going to go get the ball? And I was like, I don't know. This team's really got that. Like, Chris Jones gets the sacks, but I don't know if he's just going to go get the ball. Am I really? Because, like, one of the guys who keeps getting the turn is Jalen Watson. I'm a 7th-round rookie? That's the guy I'm going to say is going to go get the ball?
Right, but I mean,
about the consistency of it.
We're almost far enough in the season where, like, they're not, it's the cliche, like, 7th rounder, pretty soon that won't matter anymore. Like, he's obviously much better than the 7th-round player. Like, he's not, that's where he was drafted, but I think we know by now that he would be drafted much higher if there was a redraft, much like we've talked about recently with all these drafts.
Would be.
So many guys would be bumped up multiple rounds based off of what they've been. Jalen Watson, of course, would not be a 7th-round draft pick if there was a redraft. We already know Creed Humphrey would have been a late 1st-round pick or mid-1st-round pick even if there was a redraft. Going through Trey Smith wouldn't have been a 6th-rounder if there was a redraft. Keep going down the list of what guys have ended up being so far in their career.
I think when you look at, because obviously we're talking about, does this team also give it away? Because we know that Kansas City was having a problem with that for a while, right? They're the team with the negative turnover differential. And that's why it feels like, wow, they're going to be the team who does it. Because, again, Philly doesn't really give it away. And for a majority of the season, Kansas City didn't really take it away. I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to let this 1 4-game sample size make me think, yeah, they're definitely going to take the ball away from Philly. I think they might have to just play a clean game.
Wait, we got your new song.
What is it?
Red Hot Chili Pepper cover. Give it away now. That's going to be your new song.
Don't even change the words.
Just do it, but like
just do a cover.
And then a cover, but then add in some like Chiefs elements to it. And there you got it, Cody. It's an easy one for you.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Take it away now.
Just change the word a little bit. And that's your turnover song for the Super Bowl.
What you got to get it, put it in you.
I don't like when you say that to me in that voice.
Those are just the words.
But you know what?
Do you want me to say it differently?
When you make eye contact with me and you say it with no music behind it, I like it less.
What if I said it like this? What if I said...
Okay. All right.
Breathing heavy into
I
the
can't
microphone.
even say it. I didn't even say anything.
It didn't matter.
It was the heavy breathing.
I was catching my breath.
As someone whose eyes are perpetually open like 60%, when you open them all the way, I get concerned.
What do you mean? What?
Whoa. You think? Hold on. You think Nick's eyes are closed 60%?
I think Nick is a bit of a squinter.
Oh.
What?
Is this new information to you?
How long have you harbored these feelings?
They look pretty open right now.
These feelings?
Wait, I'm a squinter?
You think he...
When do you notice that I'm squinting?
Now
like,
he's
what
just
time of day? When we're talking, when we're doing the show, when
I haven't been keeping... Would you like me to keep track or
Nick's
something?
eyes might be a little closed a little bit more when we're out in Arizona for other reasons, but not right now.
No, seriously, though, you think I squint?
A little bit, yes.
You've always thought this.
I don't... I mean, I was making a comment, but yes, I believe you're...
Well, now I'm self-conscious. Now I feel like I'm just going to...
Don't do that.
I'm walking around like this now.
I'm looking at both... I'm like... I mean, well, now Nick's exaggerating it, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're...
Maybe we all need to check the lines.
I think yours are... I mean, honestly, right this second, yours are closed tighter than his.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not.
This is a weird conversation.
Two things can exist at the same time. Okay,
I don't squint. You squint.
I made a very innocuous comment, and now it's gone way too far.
Well, the text line decide. Text line, go to the video stream, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You let us know. Facebook,
There's a comment because you're getting ready to read something to me. You would... Like, look how open my eyes are.
Hurts.
Jalen, or?
No, it hurts to open my eyes like that.
Okay. I don't know if you had a take on Jalen Hurts. something like that.
Do I have a take on Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, just give us your best Jalen
right now. Your
Hurts
best
take.
Jalen Hurts take. If someone said Jalen Hurts, thoughts, quick.
Okay, here's a hot take. Best thighs in the NFL. A lot of people think it's Derrick Henry. A lot of people think it's A.J. Dillon.
in the NFL.
No, it's Jalen Hurts. He's a power lifter. He's
very strong. Yeah, he's
very strong. He squats like over 500 pounds.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's paying off.
Well, definitely.
More quarterbacks should be power lifters.
Okay.
Interesting take. Something to think
on
about.
Radio Row, I think that's one of your questions you ask a couple of the players. Do you think more quarterbacks should power lift? Look at ask them.
I'm
you should
asking
ask them
every
if they
single
think
player how much
Jalen
they
Hurts.
squat.
No, we tried that at training camp.
You did?
I'm going to try it this time, though. I'll be more delicate.
Good luck with your question if you go around asking all the Chiefs players who has the best thighs in the NFL, just to see what reaction you get on some of those questions. Go ahead.
You ease into it. You don't start with that. You talk about squatting, and then you talk about, is squatting important? And then you're like, it makes your thighs stronger, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, who has the best thighs on the team? You naturally ease into it.
Good luck.
Something clearly everyone has an opinion on, not just Nick.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we get to what's trending and back into the actual retirement announcement from Tom Brady and what it actually means for the AFC West next year.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
So I was watching the playoffs this past weekend like everybody else, and I'm watching the New York Giants play. Their quarterback, Daniel Jones, at one point had to rush over to the sideline because his contact lens fell out. They're quickly grabbing the contact solution, quickly popping back in the contact. Get some LASIK, Daniel Jones. It's that simple. You don't have to worry about the contacts or glasses or anything like that. I don't know why he doesn't have LASIK yet, but all you have to do if you're in Kansas City and you're sick of dealing with those contacts like I was, just call Dury Vision at 913-491-3330 and find out if you're a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. It's way more convenient than having to scramble around. You're probably not going to be as fortunate as Daniel Jones to have someone holding your contacts on the sideline for you like he was. So call up the best in Kansas City, Dr. Lindquist and the great team at Dury Vision, and make that appointment. And right now, you can even save $1,000 with their friends and family discount. But hurry, the offer ends on February 28th. It's the friends and family offer, your chance to save $1,000 on your LASIK procedure. So go online to DuryVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45, non-smoker, can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month. Level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50, non-smoker, can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote. 800-786-9161. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-786-9161. Remember, 1-800-786-9161. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-smoker rate class. Exam required to qualify.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Rian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Gale, you've got this gift, always knowing the truth.
I only know if something is a lie. The real trick of it is to figure out why.
Natasha Lyonne is Charlie Cale.
It wasn't an accident. I think there's been a murder. You watch too much Dateline.
A new 10-part mystery series.
Rolls on my fender. I gotta keep moving. I have been kind of a death magnet.
Poker Face, streaming now only on Peacock.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. And Odyssey Station. What's trending?
All right, we'll check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on What's Trending, we'll talk more about this, but Tom Brady announcing his retirement. Yes, it's the second time in the last calendar year that he's announced his retirement. Last year at this same time, the same day, February 1st, he announced he was retiring. Now, he didn't put out a video. He did that long essay after Adam Schefter had already reported it, and then we all know he ended up unretiring, joining the Bucs. The divorce happens, frustrating year. This time around, we'll play the audio after What's Trending when we talk about this more. I actually believe that he really is going to call it quits. Of course, the greatest quarterback of all time, a 7-time Super Bowl champ. And he's already got a contract, we know from last offseason, with Fox to join their broadcast booth for what, $380 million. So I think he's going to be just fine. But we'll talk more about what it means also from the football angle, because if you were a team like the Raiders or the 49ers or one of these other teams that perhaps were going to try to land his services, of course, you got to start moving in a different direction.
Say just a, slightly different tenor, it seemed like, than his retirement from the last time out, which I know we'll discuss here in just a minute. Next up on What's Trending, if you missed it yesterday, the Denver Broncos did finally settle in on a quarterback or a coach for their quarterback, Russell Wilson. Sean Payton going to be named the next Denver Broncos head coach. This after reportedly from Ian Rappaport, they were going after DeMeco Ryans. Now, Adam Schefter has denied that reporting, but have you noticed that Ian Rappaport's tweet's still up? That, to me, he's standing by that reporting one way or the other. Also, it's fairly obvious the Broncos had a lot of other targets in mind. That seems obvious from day one. Otherwise, it wouldn't have taken him this long to get there. But Sean Payton going to be the new Denver Broncos head coach. We'll see if that does anything to move their needle at all, as they were one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
It is pretty simple, honestly, with that. I mean, it's like the compensation you gave up, everything doesn't matter unless somehow you can get Russell Wilson to being a serviceable, at minimum, quarterback. The problem is, even if he's a top 15 quarterback, the dollar amount you're paying him, like, you better have plenty of other guys around him on that roster that are just going to step up and continue to get better. It's going to be fascinating to watch with the Denver Broncos offseason and the little draft picks that they have coming up in April. Next up on What's Trending, the Arena Football League has announced it's relaunching under a new ownership group, 4 years away, returning to the field in 2024. There was a point in time where it actually seemed like the Arena Football, like I'm talking 15 plus years ago, where the Arena Football League, it seemed like maybe actually had a chance. When they played at Kemper, so this was way long ago.
KC Brigade?
When that first game, when they were good, those were actually fun games. I never went to the Command or whatever it was called after, but the Brigade, the first year or so, they sold out Kemper Arena for the home opener and stuff, and it was actually a lot of fun, but it's just the league has died off, and now they're going to restart it. They're also...
They should have Kurt Warner on their team.
Their commissioner, by the way, the Arena Football League relaunched, the first black commissioner in U.S. Sports League history.
It's a bit embarrassing for the other sports leagues. Hopefully the Arena Football League. I do think that it's at least a different style of football than, hey, let's play the AAF or let's play the XFL, which is just trying to recreate NFL football when the minor leagues, college football already exists. This is at least a different style of the game, which I appreciate. Next up on What's Trending, Kansas was winners over K-State last night in Allen Fieldhouse. Pretty much got off to the double-digit lead there about halfway through the first half and never relinquished it the rest of the way. The other local MU will take on LSU tonight. Also in that game, Travis Kelce was in attendance, sitting right next to Nick Schwartz's uncle. So that also feels like What's Trending.
Kelce, a big Jayhawk fan. He was pumping up the crowd. He waited for Bill Self and the coaching staff to leave the court. He spoke to the team after. He hung out in Lawrence, went to the Wheel, had some Wheel pizza. Gave it a 9.
You're not being sarcastic. He really did go to the Wheel.
He gave out a 9 out of 10 on the pizza. He even said a few more beers, it would be a 10 out of 10. Then he went to the Hawk.
The pizza
had a great
is
time.
good at the Wheel. I'll confirm.
If you've had a few beers there, the pizza is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I think it stands alone without any alcohol.
I've never had a slice of Wheel pizza not involving alcohol.
Well, there used to be another place on Mass Street called Pyramid Pizza.
It's the same type.
It's the exact same.
I like Pyramid Pizza. I've had that.
Yeah, that's where they get the Wheel pizza from.
Oh. Well, then I guess I've had pizza from the Wheel.
No, you had pizza that's similar
to the Wheel. You're saying similar style of pizza?
No,
it's the same pizza, but
you didn't have
one of them
the
is
Wheel.
cooked at the Wheel, one of them is cooked at the Pyramid.
Okay.
You ever had Pizza Hut? You know they have multiple ovens across the country.
Well, you just said no when I said, so I've essentially had pizza from the Wheel. And you said no, even though I've had Pyramid Pizza, so I've had the pizza.
Cody, you need to let this go. Remember we talked about you yelling?
We didn't talk about it.
Unless you've been to the Wheel and had pizza from the wheel, you haven't had wheel pizza.
Oh
Lastly, one last thing on what's
dumbest gatekeeping of all time.
I don't even know if I want to bring it because it's way too serious a topic for what we were talking about now.
Cut the music,
But there is,
Blake.
yeah,
Cut the music, Blake.
Blake's gone. We
Cut
have
it, Blake.
Specs running the board now. We're really into it now. There's some breaking news coming out of Philadelphia.
No.
This is actually now locally being reported by Fox 4 Kansas City. This has to do with Eagles offensive lineman, offensive guard. I'll just read the story. Offensive guard on the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, 2 weeks away from playing in the Super Bowl, has been indicted in an Ohio court on charges of rape and kidnapping. This is Eagles guard Joshua Sills, 25 years old, charged one count of rape and one count of kidnapping stemming from a 2019 incident. Now, he is a backup right guard in his rookie season, but he is still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and something that, of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on heading into the Super Bowl. But obviously very serious charges, very serious allegations for someone that's the backup guard for a team that's going to play in the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah, he didn't play a ton. He appeared on just one game for the Eagles this year, so it's not like he's played a ton, but that's really serious allegation. I mean, you know how it is. You don't want anything that's taking you away from the stuff you're trying to do from a football perspective, but that's very serious allegations against Joshua Sills. So I guess, we'll keep an eye on that as the week goes on.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline reporter. He'll, of course, be in Arizona as well, covering the Super Bowl, and he will be on the sidelines in Glendale, Arizona for the second time this year. And he'll be able to maybe tell us firsthand if that turf is going to be much better.
Fingers crossed.
I saw some photos already for the Chiefs' head groundskeepers, and of course, Tomo was out in Arizona already at State Farm Stadium working on the playing surface. So that already gives me some confidence that they'll have the playing surface ready to roll for the Super Bowl. Hopefully, we see an injury-free game after the playing conditions, of course, weren't great in Week 1. So Kling's going to join us coming up in just a little bit. Let's talk more about Tom Brady, because this morning we all woke up, we were texting, we said, hey, wait, this is actually real this time, perhaps? And it was Tom Brady posting a video saying he's retiring.
Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. You only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
Tom Brady getting emotional at the end of the video he posted on his social media accounts by the beach, I don't know, Tampa, Miami, wherever. And I think it's real this time. Like, I think it's genuine. I think it's real. I understand a year ago on this very day, he announced his retirement, so I get the skepticism. But this does feel different based off of how he approached it and the emotions in this video and everything that transpired. I don't think he was terrible this year, but you saw for the first time in his career that he looked his age a little bit more. He still pretty damn good, but he looked more his age.
This is what we joked when I said he was done. I'm like, look, done by Tom Brady standards, done. As in, he's not winning the Super Bowl this year, and he's never winning Super Bowl again, which is probably what led him to this decision, isn't it? Because the other reporting suggested, I think Ian Rappaport had said that he had come down to either retiring or coming back to the Bucs. You weren't winning the Super Bowl with the Bucs next year. Look, for as much as we wanted to say, go to the 49ers or go to, it's like, in addition to being divorced, he's got to live in a different city than where his kids are. He's got to go through all this. So it's like, it's not just making a decision to return to football. If you're choosing to return to football and not return to the Bucs, you're talking about uprooting your life again. You already did that once a few years ago. It led to a lot of other life stuff. I don't know that I would want to go through with all of that. It is weird because in our lives, pretty much the only quarterback who has mattered is Tom Brady. I'm not saying there weren't great quarterbacks, like obviously Peyton Manning, but it's like our entire lives have been dominated by one man, Tom Brady. Even more so probably yours, because you're just a couple of years younger than me, makes it like so that it really is only Tom Brady. I might have had some like 90s time, early 90s time when I didn't have to deal with Tom Brady, and it didn't feel exactly that way. But, I mean, he's dominated the sport for so long, it's always weird when one of those guys goes, right? The Michael Jordans, like when LeBron retires, it feels like that. When it's just like this has been the central figure of the sport for that amount of time, it's it. Which means the crown is only Mahomes. It's Mahomes and no one else now. because Tom Brady still got to share some of that spotlight because he's the single greatest player in the sport's history.
And I appreciate Tom announcing today his retirement, because we've joked about this. Seemingly usually he makes his big splash announcements Super Bowl week, and it's like the game's not. Anytime he's not in a Super Bowl, usually he finds a way to get headlines. He's doing it, at least, but I give him credit. He's doing it the week before Super Bowl week, so this time around I can respect it.
Same day as last year, right?
Yeah, I can respect it a little bit more. And I do believe, I'm surprised, though. You and I were just talking about this a couple days ago on the show. Like, I really thought he was going to try to play one more year. I thought one of the last things he would do would be retire, considering you mentioned the off-the-field situation. Like, he already, unfortunately, among other reasons, got divorced in part because his decision to keep playing. And it's like, okay, well, that already, like, now you're going to give that up, so you're going to give up the love of football as well. So I am surprised, but I think this is a little bit different. And we know he has the Fox contract on the way if he wants it. To go be in a broadcast booth. It'll be interesting to see if they have him involved in the Super Bowl coverage already. I imagine the answer would be yes.
I kind of think you would. If you paid a guy $380 million, you probably want to see if he'll come out next week.
But it has football ramifications for other teams, too, because one of the favorites to land his services was the Las Vegas Raiders, who we all know are likely to move on from Derek Carr, even though they're not letting him seek a trade. He's still going to represent them in the Pro Bowl games this weekend out in Las Vegas. I don't know if he's going to go with the Rob Lowe NFL logo helmet or what he's going to wear, or the NFL logo jersey, something like that. But I think if you're the Raiders, if you're the Niners, like, this clears up some of your offseason a little bit. Like, you go ahead and move on and take that scenario out of the equation.
Man, when you're like, we look back at this and be like, I guess 7 Super Bowls. His run was so stupid. So frustrating.
Well, he's the 2028 Hall of Fame class is already, 2 of them are already locked in. J.J. Watt retired this year, first ballot Hall of Famer, done. Obviously, Brady, done. So 2028, J.J. Watt, Tom Brady, you're sharing the stage, which is why we joked when he retired last year. Big Ben had to have been upset because he was going to have to. Now
he's going to have to share.
Not anymore. He waits another year, so now it's going to be J.J. Watt, Tom Brady,
so
guaranteed.
No Aaron Rodgers retirement. He wouldn't want to share that stage.
Yeah, I think Rodgers definitely playing another year.
I thought he was anyway, so I'm just saying that to say it. But that's definitely not the kind of guy who's going to want to share the stage with them. I do think it's nice that it kind of leaves the mantle open for just the guy. I know we were just talking about like the legacy stuff and if he can catch it, but I mean, he really was the figure of the NFL for 15 years, 20 years.
Incredible.
Mahomes has started to strip that away over the last couple of years because he's the quarterback doing these incredible. But just 2 years ago, Tom Brady beat him in one. But now Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Like, no one's going to argue. If he wins this Super Bowl, he's going to be the most accomplished quarterback in the NFL, like active player in the NFL.
Oh, the rest of his career, much like Brady, I mean, the rest of Mahomes' career, he will far and away be the best quarterback that's playing. This is why, the talk around Burrow and him
was silly.
There was a chance that he had a chance to narrow the gap. That'll never happen. I mean, as long as Mahomes is playing in the league, at minimum, there will be nobody that has any argument can come anywhere near what he is. He will enjoy that the rest of his career, whether he plays another 10 years or 15 years. Nobody else is going to surpass what he's going to be able to accomplish. That's done now.
I was trying to think back, like, okay, what was like, he was a very frustrating player, but like, what was the most impressive run for me in him? And like, look, being a first-year starter and then showing up, the first one's like right at the top of the list. They were beating a really good team and in the Rams, who had already won a Super Bowl in that case. But I don't know, man. That year, I wanted to hate him, but that year Randy Moss showed up and he just started They were putting, like, Vegas had him as like 18-point favorites against every team, and they were just running roughshod.
The perfect
on the entire NFL. You're like, my God, that was one of the most unstoppable I've ever seen a player look in the NFL.
Yeah, I know they didn't win a Super Bowl the year they were perfect in the regular season, but
they were the best.
That has to be it too for me. I mean, and then also just looking at, I know Atlanta Falcons fans are always going to be sick to their stomach, but the fact that he was coming back from 28-3, I mean, that is a moment that I don't think any of us will forget. The jokes are always going to live on. 28. Anytime the rest of your life you see 28-3 on a scoreboard, we all know what we're thinking. We will like that automatically. Anybody that was alive watching that Super Bowl, that's what we're always going to think of. In any sport, if the score is sitting at 28-3, ever, whether it's at the NFL level, whether it's your kid's football game, whatever. Anytime you see 28-3 on a scoreboard, we all know where your mind's going immediately.
Do you think more quarterbacks are going to play to his age?
Not necessarily, no.
Like he made it to 45. I'm just curious. Like, do you think Mahomes is more likely to make it to 45 because Tom Brady did?
I don't think we should automatically assume just because Tom Brady's playing to 45 that means that the next guy that's going to be compared to him as the greatest of all time is going to just play for 45. There's a lot of things also that go into.
If you're playing catch up, you're at 4 or 5 Super Bowls. He got 2 in his 40s.
He got 2 in his 40s, but also like everybody's body. I mean, truly, everybody's health and body is way different. Also, Mahomes' playing style, even though we just saw him play from the pocket and stuff, like there will be, at some point in time, we'll be talking about in his career, like, he'll have to make another adjustment in terms of how he plays. And how does his body hold up? Like, there's so many what ifs in that. Like, health will be the number one determining factor. The number one determining factor.
And Tom Brady lost an entire season to injury. So it's like, it's not like.
But he's been healthy the last 8 years or whatever. I mean,
more than that. 2008, I think, is when that Bernard Pollard injury happened.
So that's why, like, I don't even.
Years after that.
So that's why I don't know if, like, Brady getting hurt when he got hurt didn't play a role in whether or not he was playing until 45. He stayed healthy the back end of his career.
I know that we've talked about this with, like, running quarterbacks, but to me, Mahomes isn't a running quarterback. Mahomes is a quarterback who's good at running, if that makes sense. Yep. He's not the guy who designs the runs. I think he does, for the most part, a good job of not being hit. He's actually been one of the lower sacked quarterbacks during that time, which I think system. He's also good at not getting sacked because he's very mobile and capable of those things. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Josh Allen's not playing until he's 42 based on how he played. That's not happening. No chance.
No, but I was just trying to say, like, Joe Burrow, does he want to play till he's 45 now? Does Patrick Mahomes want to play till he's 45? Like, are we going to go back to that? Because that was the original thing, right? It's like George Blanda was out here trying to play quarterback at, like, 52. Or Jeff Hostetler. Like,
he was also punting. He was. We're not going to do George Blanda slander today.
When did I say?
Also, the money's a little bit different nowadays too, just in terms of
Another classic example of ageism by Cody.
What?
I just asked if guys were gonna play older. I mentioned George Blanda because he played when he was very old.
It's the way you said it.
Really? Gold didn't take it that way. Or once he's not on your side, he didn't take it as an ageist comment. So
I feel like there's a lot of alliance forming going on today.
When you're in the studio, I feel like we got to take sides because we're all here.
Yeah, everyone's politicking and posturing.
I think, we have to take some votes on some things.
Yeah.
Every time we're in, like, a middle of a big discussion, I feel like we need to, take sides if we're in the studio. That's all. Figure out whether or not. I don't know how old George Blanda was. I don't feel like I made that big of a comment on it. But
I think he played till he was like 56. He had to.
Maybe he was 51, I think.
He really was 51?
51, I'm pretty sure. He wasn't playing quarterback at that time. He was still kicking, but
Blake sounds very confident about that. More so than me and way more than you.
He retired at the age of 48.
He played.
God, we're all wrong. We're terrible.
He played 48. From 1949
26
to
seasons.
1975.
He was like playing football while like Ted Williams was still playing.
Well, there was, because it was weird. I remember there was a time when he was the number one quarterback, and then like the next year he was the league's leading kicker.
Yeah, he retired a month before his 49th.
By the way, George Blanda hit 52% of his field goals career. Attempted 639. They kept trotting his ass out there.
He only made 300 of them?
Yeah, 335.
All right, add him to my Derek Jeter overrated ass. George Blanda can't even make a damn kick. Making half his field goals.
You say overrated as
just
if
honoring him like, come on, old man. You're like our mascot. Go out there, kick some field goals.
Now you are being ageist.
As
now
if there's people out there that are saying, you know who doesn't get enough credit?
George Blanda. Someone's out there, Nick. Someone's out there. In fairness, he retired like 10 years before I was born and 15 years before you were born. So I watched a lot of George Blanda highlights during that time. And for all I know, 50% of made field goals put him in like the top 5 during that era. And we're all making him at 90% like Justin Tucker now. I think that was one of the arguments we had recently. I was like, they gotta make the kicking harder. It's just too easy.
And then it's not too easy in the NFL. We just saw what happened this year.
Yeah. This year was a tough argument for it. With Maher just
what would you like to do to make it more difficult?
I'll tighten him up.
Why?
I agree with him. Why not? Make it harder.
Yeah, this is where Nick doesn't believe a word he's saying.
No, Cody's got a good point here. He makes a lot.
So we were talking about the Arena Football League. You want the Arena Football League goalposts.
Not that skinny.
You want that.
Well, the top 20 kickers of all time in field goal kicking percentage are all in the league right now. A little too easy.
What about this? What if they're adjustable and before each kick?
They moved the extra points back already.
No, listen.
More points depending how small you make it?
No, you
oh my God, Justin Tucker.
So there's 3 on the board.
Thrive
So
in
it's
that.
3, and if someone's feeling confident, no wind, like you're in a dome, it's hot out. He goes, you know what? Bring him in, and it's worth 4 points.
They retract. They're retractable
they
goalposts.
just click a little button
and go up to like 10. It's just like this, just the
4,
football fits through.
4 if you make it in the smaller.
I think if you can call your shot on the upright, if you left upright right here, 5 points.
That's 5. Yeah, that's a 5.
I would say, could you imagine how interesting end of game moments would be in that situation? You're like, well, we're down 10. You're like, doesn't matter. We're 70 yards out. Well, you get an extra point for being Each yard past 60 is worth an extra half point. And if he shrinks it, we can get ourselves to 11 points here. If Justin Tucker can hit a 70-yard field goal that's only 5 feet wide.
Shouldn't that mean something? Shouldn't precision mean something?
It pretty much sounds like we're inventing basketball, but for football. So that problem makes it way more difficult to assume that it's going to make sense. So as much as I was saying, like, make it slightly harder, I wasn't joking about, I wasn't being serious about doing that. Like, whatever the MTV version of sports were during the 90s. Rock and...
I mean, isn't this what we're talking about, essentially what they should do at the Pro Bowl games this weekend?
Yes!
Like, that's where they should test it out. Your idea right there. I mean, the Pro Bowl games are absolute joke anyway.
I mean, I would think that... I know what you're saying, but yeah, it makes sense.
All right, let's go out to the 610 hotline and welcome in Josh Klingler, Chiefs sideline reporter for the Chiefs Radio Network. Kling, you're going to be on the sideline out in Arizona. I know you felt the turf in week 1, so this turf better be ready to go. I don't know if you've talked to the right people for the Super Bowl this go-around.
Well, George Toma is there. Travis Hogan, the Chiefs groundskeeper, is there. So I think they probably got a handle on it. I saw the NFL tweeted out a photo of it. It looked pretty good. I saw a video of them rolling it into the stadium.
It's already inside.
Yes.
Okay.
They had already rolled it inside and they were painting it. And so, yeah, it looked a lot better than certainly week 1 and then even some stuff we saw later in the season, right? I don't remember which week it was specifically that there was another game. I'm like, wow, that place looks not very good for a Super Bowl. So hopefully it's a completely different surface, but it looked pretty good from the photos and videos thus far.
What about the stadium in general? Like some Chiefs fans that maybe are fortunate enough to make the trip out there. You've been to now, man. I don't know how many you've been to some of the best stadiums in the league, and you've been to a couple Super Bowls already. How's that one stack up?
Yeah, this one's pretty nice, and you'll like this, Alex, because it's the only stadium currently that has essentially a sports book on the premises.
Yeah, that BetMGM book out there.
Yeah. It's kind of an outbuilding because at this point you cannot have things in the stadium, but it's on the property technically. So it's almost like there's like a mini, almost like a clubhouse, a little kind of sports bar, just out off one of the parking lots that's got the sports book outside of it.
Love it.
So that's pretty nice. Yeah. It's more of that to come, obviously, as we proceed around the NFL and we start getting stuff in stadium.
Kling, when you look at this, we're just now getting to the early stages of look at this matchup, but I feel like the one thing that you can't really argue is that the Eagles have the better roster. It doesn't mean they're going to win. That's not what I'm trying to say here, but the Eagles are the roster versus Cincinnati, where I'm like, oh, they're way better in the offensive line. They're way better in the defensive line. That's why I think they're going to win this game. The Eagles will stack up well against this team.
Yeah, I think so, and I think listening to some of the talk as well in Philadelphia, I think they believe they have the better. They have the better team that had the better season. That doesn't always
better season. They both had 16-3, and they scored the same number of points.
And the Chiefs played a better schedule, but I think the Chiefs were more tested probably than the Eagles were. But no, they're very veteran on the especially offensive line. Their defense can really get after people. I think their defense kind of is overshadowed at times by the Jalen Hurts season, but I think that their defense is really solid. And then obviously it's not talked about a ton around the league, and it probably should be with the A.J. Brown move. I mean, it works, right? You're in the Super Bowl. Like, you had a big money move that worked. The Bills got a lot of shine for getting Von Miller, right? And they didn't obviously finish the season with Von Miller or get to the Super Bowl. I guess the Eagles can be credited with, going and getting a really good piece for them offensively that has paid off. They run the football well. Yeah, they do a lot of things well. It's a good team.
I will say that I am jealous because, we spent time in the offseason, Gold and I arguing back and forth because I really wanted the Chiefs to sign Hassan Reddick. I was God, in retrospect, now even more, Kling. He had 16 sacks, and he's only under contract for 3 years and $45 million.
That's just a big win by them, though, right? I mean, I don't know. That feels like that could have had boom or bust potential. That you look at it now in hindsight, and it looks great, but I think there were a lot of questions whether or not that was going to be a good deal or not. But no, he's been a beast, and again, part of a defense that doesn't get a lot. And they'll get a lot of attention now, finally, I think, over the next couple of weeks. But I feel like that they've kind of flown under the radar. I think a lot of the Eagles have, right? I feel like it's probably the least talked about kind of wire-to-wire number one seed this side of Kansas City. I mean, there was so much talk about the AFC and the AFC West and Buffalo and later on Cincinnati that, and everybody, Dallas is shinier, but the Eagles they're really, really good.
I feel like if there was one thing that you look at the Chiefs win, even against Cincinnati, and say, man, they got to do this better. I feel like the Chiefs are going to have to somehow find a way to run the ball better than they did against Cincy, against this Philadelphia defense. We know that this offense is always going to be predicated around Patrick Mahomes and passing the football, but Pacheco ended up having a huge impact because of the receiving game. But I don't think the Chiefs can win against Philadelphia if they're getting 35 or 40 yards rushing in the game against Philly.
Well, I'm pounding the table run guy, and I swear when I do that, they go the opposite. So I'm surprised, Mahomes didn't throw 50 times last week. So I'd love to say that's not that I agree with you. That's true, but I can't anymore. I mean, I think the one thing that stands out to me, like looking at the season as a whole, is that this team maybe has shown to be more flexible than previous incarnations of the Chiefs, especially on offense. That just do whatever. If it calls for a run game that day, they'll run it. If it calls for a bunch of tight ends, we'll run it. If it calls for getting the ball down the field, they'll do it. This team's been more adaptable than any of the previous kind of Andy Reid Chiefs virgins, and also the quarterback's more comfortable doing all of that as well, which is obviously an evolution that he has made as well in this offense. So yeah, I'd love to say they're going to have to run the football. I don't know. I mean, they seemingly can defy the odds and do what the day is called for. I just like to see them be a little bit more consistent offensively. I felt like there's just been some continuous spots where they've kind of just stalled offensively, and then it takes something to get them kind of kicked back in gear. I'd love to see them be a little more kind of consistent from start to finish, but maybe that's nitpicking at this point.
Kling, you certainly don't have to call for it now or assume that it's going to happen now, but I refuse to completely bury the conversation that Mahomes has no chance to ever catch Brady, because he's been in 5 straight AFC title games, and the 2 he didn't go to the Super Bowl, he went to overtime. Mm-hmm. He has a chance to win a second Super Bowl in a week and a half. I know it's still a long shot, if you want to put it that way, but I'm not burying it. I'm not saying no chance. I refuse to do that with Mahomes.
I just think 2 gets you in the conversation, right? And then you're like, okay, there's a chance. Like if he won back-to-back, we'd all be saying, okay, this is a third. Let's go. But 2... I feel like gets you in a different realm, and then you can start, playing it out a little bit. But even some of the numbers, I know the Brady retirement numbers are all coming in. You kind of see some things and all the things he'd have to do to catch a bunch of stuff that Brady has done. That requires a long, long, long career. I don't know if he's going to play till 39 years old, and so he may not have the longevity to do it like Brady. We may only see one Brady that plays.
He's 45. He got 2 in his 40s, Kling. I mean, that's kind of important.
I know. Is that an expectation level now, or is that still such a kind of pie in the sky thing? But maybe if he's stacking a bunch early, he'll have a chance to run at it. But I don't know. I still think Brady's going to be kind of a unicorn when it comes to playing at 45.
We're talking to Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline reporter, who will be in Arizona on the sidelines at the Super Bowl. And Kling, the other news, of course, prior to the Tom Brady retirement was the Broncos finally finding a head coach in Sean Payton, and it seemed like he was not the first, not the second, but the third choice, and they still gave up first-round draft pick compensation. We understand that they are all in already on Russell Wilson, so now I feel like they just have tripled down on Sean Payton and are like just begging and praying that he can actually find a way to fix Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'm questioning whether or not he wasn't a first choice, but the compensation, DeMeco Ryans is going to be cheaper, right? DeMeco Ryans didn't allow or require you to give up draft picks. So did that equal the playing field more than an established veteran coach? Maybe so. And then they had to do it, right? It felt like they kind of had to. So I don't know if they didn't, I'm not ruling out that they didn't like Sean Payton, but they might not like the compensation and the trade that you have to give up as well. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, number one is, can you fix the quarterback? And he's going to have a longer leash, I'll say, than maybe a DeMeco Ryans would. Let's say he was the other candidate, right? DeMeco Ryans goes out there, and in 2 years, it's still floundering, and you're still stuck with the quarterback. Well, that's the coach's fault at that point, right? He'd get all the blame. I think Sean Payton's going to get the opportunity, longer opportunity to try to correct the ship there. I don't know, but the first thing I would do is Yeah, I'd close the office that he allegedly has set up on a different floor and tell him that all the people he hired that are non-Bronco employees, he can meet after work. But all that nonsense that they allowed him to get away with last year is going to stop.
I mean, with Russ, the real question is, like, is he willing? Did he play so? But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Kling, all of us might think that, like, I'm going to do things my way. I am who I am. I've gotten where I am because I am. That season had to be so humbling that I think I'd be considering some life changes.
You hope. Or you just double down. Hey, I got my way already. I got the coach fired, right? I got this guy out. Now I got this veteran guy. I'm going to try to see if I can do it my way. And then we'll see how Payton is. He's believed to be kind of old school, Parcells, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if that always works. I think being a little bit flexible with your egos and whoever's in that locker room can go a long way. But I think you have to change whatever was going on with that dynamic with that team and Russell Wilson, because it didn't seem like anything jived. And so you got to get everybody on the same page. And I think it starts with making Russell be a teammate rather than a guy who's kind of off on his own.
Kling, appreciate it. I guess we can check in next week. You've already been out to Arizona, so any bar food recommendations, please let us know. I know there's an In-N-Out out there, but at this point in time, we got Whataburger, so we're good.
That's true. I think for these next couple weeks, you have to stay. I guess that's loyal, right? Whataburger would be considered more loyal at this point. So don't step out with In-N-Out. I'd recommend.
So you're saying Jalen Hurts, that's Team In-N-Out, and Mahomes is Team Whataburger.
And we can't eat any Philly cheesesteaks for the next week and a half.
That's true.
I know, that's the hard part. I love a good Philly cheesesteak, but we got to do it for the team, man.
That's how it works. Thanks, Kling. We'll check in with Kling next week, of course, as he'll be out in Arizona as well, covering the Super Bowl, and we'll be right on the sideline on the field that he mentioned he thinks is going to be in much better shape from the first go-around as well. Up next, we'll talk more about Sean Payton getting hired by the Denver Broncos and how they got to this point, plus the random question of the day right here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation, and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
With inflation on the rise, you may be charging more to your credit card. But be careful. That increased debt can cause your credit score to suffer.
Don't get stuck with a low credit score and a mountain of high-interest credit card debt. Call Golden Oak Lending now.
Refinance with our low rates to wipe out your high-interest credit card debt and put extra cash in your pocket. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, February 1st, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Oak Ridge Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 913-295-8000. That's 913-295-8000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Oak Ridge Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 913-295-8000.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
When choosing a wireless provider, you're forced to compromise. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could get reliable service without a contract and save money? Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide. Based on first-place rankings and RootMetrics first half 2022 5G assessments of 125 metros. Experiences may vary, not an endorsement.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
At Anthony, we get the job done right the first time. That's why you know us as the technicians you can trust with your house keys. Right now, receive a free tank water heater when you purchase a new heating and cooling system. Schedule online at anthonyphce.com.
Back here on Cody and Gold, thanks to Kling for joining us. We'll get to Cody's random question of the day. Much criticized random question of the day from yesterday. We had 2 random questions, if you guys remember.
I thought they both went great.
We had 2. One was definitely I'll give you one was totally random and put Nate Taylor on the spot as well. So we'll get to today's in just a little bit. Plus, in 15 minutes or so, a Super Bowl winning stat that I honestly think doesn't mean a damn thing when we talk about legacies, when we talk about winning consecutive Super Bowls. So that's coming up. But I want to talk more about Sean Payton. We mentioned that with Kling. So the Broncos go and get Sean Payton. They give up a first-round pick. Essentially, it was the pick they got back in the Bradley Chubb trade. So I've seen a lot of Broncos fans justifying the compensation by saying,
because they gave up their best defensive end and then got a quarterback or a coach back for it?
Yeah, I had a lot of Broncos fans in my mention, like, annoyed, I guess, because they obviously know that they're one of the laughing stocks of the league right now.
So they're just trying to pop off?
Well, we traded Bradley Chubb for Sean Payton. Would you have not made that trade? I'm like, I'm not so sure I would have. No, actually. I think Sean Payton is an upgrade, but here's the thing. Just about anybody would have been an upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett, so it's not saying much that he's an upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett.
Nick Short would have been an update over Nathaniel Hackett.
Nicholas would have been, yep. However,
he would have just let somebody else do the job, which is fine. Like Blake now.
I think it's a terrible look, though, when twice in 2 off seasons, your general manager, even with different ownership groups, hired a coach that he thought also could help them bring in Aaron Rodgers, backfired. Then you panicked. You traded for Russ. Okay, we all understood the trade for Russ at the time, if we're being honest with ourselves. Made sense. It did. But you didn't have to give him the contract extension. That's where you screwed up. Now you're stuck. So this offseason, Ian Rappaport reporting that D'Amico Ryan and Harbaugh might have been the top 2 choices in the final closing days. You end up getting Sean Payton, who, by the way, I think is a very good head coach. But It's your third choice. You panicked. Where else? Sean Payton, was he just going to go back to the Fox booth? Like, what made you so quickly have to rush?
Because,
Sean Payton had way too much leverage on you.
Yeah, they wanted a good coach. They saw themselves as only having a few good coach options, right? Jim Harbaugh, always been a good NFL coach, had a lot of success. DeMeco Ryans did look to be a lot of NFL teams' favorite guy because everyone thought of all the, first-time NFL head coaches that were possibly going to get a job. That was the guy, right? Gold. He felt like he was the fit. And then you run yourself into Sean Payton, who is one of the more established coaches, who's won a Super Bowl, who a lot of people were interested in. But the thing is, only one team was willing to pay the price. As much as we're going to try to make this as Sean Payton was only going to go a couple places. It's not true. Sean Payton clearly wanted a job. It's fairly obvious Sean Payton wanted a job. Sean Payton would have taken a lot of these jobs.
Maybe you
if
competed with
teams would have
Arizona.
traded for him.
Yeah, like maybe you were competing with Arizona. That's the only other team I really thought ever was truly in on Sean Payton.
Yeah, but I think that the other teams looked at the compensation. They're like, we're fine. I know that doesn't happen very often, so it's like a weird situation anytime you have to give a draft pick compensation for a coach.
Chiefs did it for Dick Vermeil back in the day.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
I would argue so, yeah. I mean, they 13-3 season. They, of course, never got to the Super Bowl with Dick Vermeil, but they had a 13-3 season. Everybody thought that was their year. They had the best offense in football, all of that.
Yeah, but would they have had did they have the talent? It's always the same stuff. Coaching obviously matters in the NFL, and we're not trying to pretend like it doesn't. Denver got better yesterday from a just pure football standpoint. They're so far behind, they can't catch up. They panicked. I'm telling you, they panicked. They didn't think they were going to get a good head coach, and they're like, oh, my God, we're going to get stuck with another Nathaniel Hackett. What do? They're like, fine, just give them whatever they want. Because they are now fully invested, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and additional later-round picks in Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was the worst full-time starter in the NFL last year. And Sean Payton hasn't coached in a couple of years, and the last couple of years when he didn't have a good quarterback in New Orleans, it wasn't going great there. Like, for all these great coaches, to me, I often judge them when they don't have anyone good at quarterback. So Bill Belichick, to be like, he's only going 500. I don't know, man. He's going 500 with Mac Jones. Not bad. Like, for the years that Sean Payton had Jameis Winston, every once in a while, one of those, 6-win seasons, you're like, I don't know, man. What's it like when you don't have the guy?
I think he only had Jameis Winston for 1 year.
Yeah, no, I know. But his sample size is much smaller.
If you could go back, we know Sean Payton wanted to take some time off. But deep down, do you think he'd be better, knowing this division, knowing the draft capital, would he be better off if he just would have stayed in New Orleans? Ignore salary.
Oh, from a win perspective?
Ignore
Denver's the worst job in the NFL.
Yeah, ignore salary. Even though the Saints don't have their quarterback situation figured out, but they're not tied to anybody. You're open to still go find the guy. You have to make it work with Russell Wilson. And the report is 9 News out of Denver that it's a $17 to $20 million a year on a 5-year deal is what Sean Payton. He was seeking 20 or 25. The report is he got 17 to 20. I'm sure there's
another reason
incentives
why.
in there.
But I think he wanted a job. I think Sean Payton probably realized that you can't, typically you can't set out 2 years, You're not going to be the name anymore. This is like the Eric Bieniemy problem. You can be a super winning coach all you want. You set out a couple of years, it's going to be less about I can take whatever job I want, and you're going to...
Nick, can you come here?
...to you, and the money goes down. 2 years from now, maybe it's not 17 to 20, and maybe it's 12 to 15 or 13 to 16. There is variance in this. There's admitted variance in this. But I think they're a lost cause. I think they're going to be the worst team. I don't think they have a chance to win the division for at least 5 years. I don't think they can solve their problems for half a decade.
Of course, Sean Payton's a huge part of it, but the rest of the roster, we can talk about the holes in the roster, not having draft capital, which I think is a problem, but also it's pretty simple, though. If Sean Payton cannot get Russell Wilson to play at minimum at a top 15 level, then they have no chance. And even at a top 15 level, that's not good enough to win a Super Bowl.
They're just mediocre. They can maybe make a 7th seed in the
wild
playoffs,
card, yeah. Be a wild card. That's where they're at. And I think most Broncos fans do realize that. I actually, even in the interaction yesterday with some of them on social media, I think they even acknowledge, what else were we supposed to do? Basically is what some were saying. They felt like they almost had to hire Sean Payton at that point because they were so far in it.
Been a lifetime Kansas City fan. So let me just, the pre-Mahomes era, let's just take that out of our brain for a minute. I know what you're talking about. But let me just help you out here. It's a bad mentality. It's not going to lead to winning. What else do you want us to do is what leads to things like getting Jose Guillen under contract, okay? That's the mentality of what else am I supposed to do? is what gets you trading for Matt Castle and paying him $100 million. I understand why, as a fan, you get into that mode and you're like, what else am I supposed to do?
I would have hired, and without giving up draft compensation,
Mike Kafka.
I would have hired Eric Bieniemy, Raheem Morris, or Mike Kafka. Those would have been the three choices. You wouldn't have to give up any draft capital. Now, maybe those guys, you would argue, none of them wanted that job. They think they can do better. Well, one of them can't even get multiple interviews this cycle, so I don't know if that's true. You didn't even interview Eric Bieniemy, Denver, this go-around.
I'm totally with you. I would take any chances out of those guys. I mean, I would take the guy who was working under him, I know Ben Johnson didn't want it, but I would just offer him a bunch of money.
Yeah, he flat out was just he made up his mind. He was staying in Detroit.
No, I know, but but if it was $15 million,
right?
That's just money.
Yeah.
That's just money.
And that's the one thing that the Broncos have.
And then count against the Cavs, didn't hurt you as a team. They got tons of money. Just money.
They have basically the richest owners in football now.
Yeah, so to me, that part, I just pay him all right, Ben Johnson said he was staying in Detroit. For $15 million a year, Gold, he was not. You're just I'll pay you like Sean Payton. Show up, Ben. You'd be like, ooh, what? You said $15 million a year? Oh, my God, my family could be set for life. I could go back and be an offensive coordinator anytime I want in the NFL. I could do whatever the hell I want. I could go back to that job anytime. I know you want to take a head coaching job to be a head coaching job. I understand that there are people who probably didn't want that job. But, man, I would have gone 100 different ways than this. Mostly just because it's Denver. I told you, the issue I told you 2 weeks ago I wouldn't hire Sean Payton. The issue is not that he's not a winner. It's that he's a pretty good winner. He's not the best head coach, but he's a really good head coach. He's definitely an upgrade over a lot of head coaches. But when you also toss in the fact that I give you my first and second round pick, no. I think I can get better with a different coach and getting to use those picks.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, I guess, Blake and Nick?
Yes.
And for the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, a random question today brought to you by the window source of Kansas City. In honor of our conversation earlier in which my brother came on the air and admitted to playing in a youth baseball game when he was 25 years old against other 17-year-olds, in which they won both games. The question I have for you today is, what is the worst you feel like you've ever cheated in your life? Because there's plenty of instances where we've all cheated.
Yeah.
What is admit it now on the show. What's the worst you've ever cheated? A test, significant other, whatever you want to admit to on this show, we are open. Well, what is the worst you have ever cheated? 913-586-7610.
And the one that comes to mind, I think you've told this on the air before, but it was one of those where anybody, we had a substitute teacher that was gone, and this was chemistry class, and everybody, people got caught too, but everybody did, the substitute teacher, everybody thought wasn't paying any attention, and everybody just blatantly was cheating on this chemistry test. That would probably be the one that comes to mind first and foremost, yeah.
Nick, would you like to admit to something? I'll go next. It's fine. You have time.
Yeah, I cheated in college on an exam.
This is a snitch line and not really a random question.
Yeah, it is. Well, those blue books that you'd have to write essays in.
Yeah.
Buy them for a quarter. Well, a lot of teachers would make you, once you got to class, swap with the person next to you.
Yeah.
To make sure you didn't already have your essay written, which I did. I had mine written very, very, very lightly in pencil, so I could just trace over it. And so when the person,
cheating sometimes.
I was sitting in the back row of this class, and then the person to my right asked to swap books with me, and I said, "Oh, I already swapped with that person to my left." And then they go, "No, you didn't." And I
Get
said,
off my ass, man.
That's what I said. I said, "I'm not switching with you." So I never got caught, and I think I still got a C on the exam. But you know what? I would have gotten an F.
You got a C, and you were actively cheating.
Well, I would have gotten an F if it weren't for
the cheating.
If it weren't for the cheating, so
I often think that education, I didn't cheat a ton, but I also feel like education, there should be a little bit of leeway, right? If you're trying to work through these things. I think the worst I ever did was I had American citizenship class. It was taught by the softball coach. It was not taken serious. And I'm like, I don't want to do this class. So I had known a person who had taken the class the year before. He did not change anything in the syllabus. All the general assignments were the same. And she sent me all the stuff she did. So I had a pretty good idea where this was going to go. Well, you're inside of a week, and we had to write a report on a former president. I was like, okay. So I changed maybe two things and turned in her full report. Didn't do a single thing on it, changed my name on it, added a few comments, doesn't matter, right? 2 things, 3 things maybe. only to find out that when I turned it into class, that I had forgotten that they're included in oral presentation on said book report, which I clearly had not written.
So what did you do?
First day of the reports, right? They're going to be in a 3-day period. You know how this works. He called me first. You're up first.
Do you think he knew something was up?
I talked about, it was Teddy Roosevelt. I talked just about anything I'd ever heard about Teddy Roosevelt for the entire time, just making up whatever. I don't know if it was in the report. I didn't even bother to really read it. She got an A on it. Seemed good enough to me. So I turned it in, did an entire oral report, and got by. I got a B+, which felt fine, considering I had not read the report. I just turned it in. I didn't do any of it, dude. I didn't even, try to pretend like. It wasn't even, because at this time, they weren't, really running, complicated he hadn't put the whole thing in the software. It was like a typed-up Word doc. I thought, I'm fine. I'll just pop this thing in. He won't notice. That was probably the worst. I felt pretty bad about that one.
Someone says they slid their roommate's test inside their test when they took the test next semester in microeconomics. Some of this stuff, multiple things people have done. Someone else said, when cheating, Nick, never get an A. It's suspect. They're saying you did it the right way.
That was exactly my plan.
Take your seat. That was on purpose? You just,
Someone says they cheated all. Again, this really has become snitch line. Cheated all 4 years of college from the 816. They say they don't know anything about their degree. Someone says, guess what, Cody? The teacher didn't read your report either.
Oh, no, that seems fairly obvious now. The only, you know what? There's one that's probably worse than that. Biology, it was Biology 2, senior year, so I was real checked out by this point. So we had to do a project classifying leaves. So it was you had to put together you had to design it wasn't like a diorama. We had to design a case in which you were going to put all these 20 different classification of leaves. Here's all the information about them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got put in charge of it, and I was doing some of the work, and then I was put with 2 other kids who really didn't want to do the work, and I got tired of it, and eventually I'm like, I'm just going to pretend like I've turned this in. Everyone had to turn it in. I go to the professor, Mr. Cornett. I don't remember exactly. Cornell, something like that. And he said, hey, Cody, where's your leaf project? I said, turned it in this morning. Had not turned anything in, to be clear.
You just flat out lied.
Yeah. He said, I turned it in this morning. He's like, I haven't seen it. I'm like, what do you mean you haven't seen it? Said, we did all this work. And so, days and days of this, and he's like, I don't know what to do.
This is hurting your school board campaign right now.
I said, I don't want to do this assignment. I said, I don't want to redo this. I did all this hard work. And he offered me a B. And I said, no. I said, a B? Do you know how much time we put into this? And he eventually settled it on A-.
What?
I paraded him after he offered me a good grade.
You made this guy feel bad? Oh,
well,
man.
at this point, if you don't fight for it, then they'll know that you didn't do it. You have to fight.
Wow, okay. From the 816 in college.
Commit to the lie.
Yeah.
In college, someone says the entire baseball team in their chemistry class used Apple Watches to receive answers on a test. They got them from a guy who they collectively given $100.
That's it,
$100?
$100?
Kept texting him answers through the Apple Watch, and that's how they got it.
Wow, that's smart. I'm trying
We
to
didn't, we didn't have the Apple Watch back in
No,
our
there was
day.
an option.
something I've done in the last. There's something I've done in the last year or so where they said you couldn't have an Apple Watch on.
Something you've done?
It wasn't a class, obviously. I don't remember what it was, but I know in college classes, a lot of teachers will not let you wear.
I get it. It makes
test days,
and they won't let you wear hats.
Well, that's been a thing for a while. That was a thing even when we were in high school or college. There was something about on the test where you would have the answers on the brim of your hat or whatever, stuff like that.
Honestly, I think if someone puts that amount of work into the cheating, you should allow it. If you really, if it's not obvious, right? You're really working at it. You clearly spent 3 hours doing it. That's the same amount of time they probably should have just spent studying.
What? Something just hit me.
But I like the effort. Oh, you've got a really bad one?
Oh, boy.
So I was taking a test. For whatever reason, I couldn't take the test. I think I was taking my test actually early because I knew I was going to be gone on the test date. And I had organized it with my teacher,
Sure.
hey, can I come in a day early and take my test? And they said, sure. So I had to come to their office to take the test. But it was like a TA. It wasn't an actual professor, so it was a very little office. There was only one chair, and they said, okay, I'll just let you sit at my desk. And then I'll go sit outside.
Huge mistake.
So there's no, I know what you're thinking. There was no answer sheet on the test. But
there's a computer, right?
I'm straight up looking up the answers on my phone. I had the office to myself. You're going to leave me unchecked.
No one does?
Was the door closed as well, too? So, like, you knew if she, like, came back?
I don't remember if the door was closed or if it was open, but what I do remember is having my phone out, and this was before, like, even I had, like, Apple Music on my phone. So this is, like, when you would, like, pull up SoundCloud to listen to music on your, like, web browser on your phone, and I pulled out the web browser to play or to look up an answer, and the second I opened my web browser, whatever music I was playing on SoundCloud started blaring. And of course, the teacher popped their head, and then of course I'm like fumbling, I'm like shoving it in my pocket, and just like acting as if I didn't hear the sound, you know?
I'm sorry, there's music.
Wait, what?
You should have said, I need some music. I just need some music.
My college teachers probably won't be very happy about this, and if my parents are listening, I'm sorry that I'm admitting this on air, but I didn't read a book in college.
Do you know how to read?
I do know how to read. Very small increments, low vocabulary.
We were propping you up a lot earlier today on the show, and this is not.
Can't even read.
Yeah.
No, so I didn't read anything. I had British literature, and you can find everything online.
You're in a literature class and you didn't read?
Yeah, no. Spark Notes are a hell of a
Howard's
thing.
End.
Spark Notes.
The question, the tests were just so easy. Maybe my teacher was taking it really easy and gave us. I mean, you can look up the answers, and basically there was like one in there that you might have had to skim something. But again, just go back to Spark Notes, and like you guys brought up the other day, it was what the AI is basically eventually going to be able to take over. That you can write papers all on your own without even touching anything.
Going to take care of all this for us. It's going to be way easier to cheat now.
That is the random question of the day, which turned into kind of a snitch line because there was some we couldn't even get to today. People mentioning that, Nick, they had an iPod that would play with the answers. They recorded themselves with the answers, but they messed up. They didn't plug the iPod all the way in. The whole class heard the answers. God. Somehow the person claims the teacher did not hear it. I don't know how that's, but the whole class heard the answers.
One of those like lecture hall ones.
Maybe so, but if you're going to record yourself saying the answers on the test, you better make sure you got the headphone plugged in. Otherwise, that's going to backfire on you in a pretty big way. All right, coming up next, though, what happens when you win the NFL MVP? It's actually not good news for the Super Bowl. We'll tell you why.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
We're talking with Dr. Chris Hettinger, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, tell us what sets KCUC apart from other urology practices.
We're on the cutting edge of urologic health. We've recruited surgeons from throughout the country with the best surgical skills. We have surgeons who've come to us from the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, Northwestern, Baylor, Harvard, all to come to the area to join Kansas City Urology Care.
And KCUC was the first to use robotic surgery.
Kansas City Urology Care surgeons have been doing robotic surgery in town longer than anyone else. We have surgeons who've done very high volumes of surgery, and as you do more, you get better at whatever you're doing. We always strive to be the best, and to be the best, we need to have the best surgeons.
At KCUC, you see the best in KC. Kansas City Urology Care. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
I'm Brad. I've been with Overhead Door Company of Kansas City for almost 20 years. What we see a lot of in the wintertime is customers sliding into their doors because of icy conditions in their driveway. So hit doors, broken springs, doors stuck to the ground due to ice, bottom rubber ripped off, things like that.
Cold weather wins every time, but we'll get you prepared. Overhead Door Company of Kansas City since 1927. OverheadDoorKC.com.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
Call 913-363-9439. That's 913-363-9439. 913-363-9439. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit BetterHelp.com/tryit to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/tryit.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign. And we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code GOLF. Use code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to win the championship, and Metro Ford is winning with new inventory coming in and opportunities to make great deals. View our inventory online at kcmetroford.com. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your AFC champions play right here. Proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Short with you. We got Blake running the board as well. Nick is training him very intently. Text line says they caught Nick eating. I don't think so. I don't know. Oh, wait, he's got
chips. He's trying to swallow so he can eat. Take a drink of your water, man.
They're jalapeno chips, so they got a little kick.
When you're in this room, man, you got to be careful about the eating, you know?
I'm just going to start being more transparent about my eating. I'm going to stop
hiding in shame.
Okay, that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that I'm going to start just like doing it on camera instead of like dipping off camera.
You should.
So then you guys can see exactly how often I'm eating. You can see exactly what I am eating.
Yeah.
There won't be any more, hiding in the shadows.
Are you saying we should, before Arizona, should we weigh ourselves before we fly to Arizona and then weigh ourselves right as we get back?
No, listen, I'm not I'm not just eating junk. This is the worst thing I'm going to eat all day.
Okay.
What did you eat for regular lunch? I know this is second lunch.
I haven't eaten lunch today. That's why I'm eating chips.
Shocking.
I have food, but I thought it would be rude to eat it in here with you guys.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it would smell at the studio.
Depends on the food.
It's a chicken cutlet.
I don't have a problem.
A breaded chicken cutlet.
Yeah, it'd be weird if you're just eating there right in front of the microphone, the chicken cutlet in the middle of the segment.
I mean, I would prefer you eat in the break like us.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's exactly my point. I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to sit out there and then miss the start of a segment. You know, what if something's important, like talking about what I'm eating?
Yeah, really important stuff.
Covered something super
here
valuable
on the show. A week or so from now, next Thursday, Patrick Mahomes is going to win his second MVP award. We all know this. It's been a foregone conclusion. And so what happens when you win in Super Bowl? Nick, when you win yes, he's eating. When you win a NFL MVP, what happens in the Super Bowl? There's actually a weird trend that has shown that the last 9 quarterbacks or players in period that have won the regular season MVP, they have all gone on to lose in the Super Bowl. So Brady in 2017 was the regular season MVP. He lost. Matt Ryan in 16, Cam Newton. Then it was Manning twice, 13 and 09, Brady 07, Sean Alexander 05, Rich Gannon 02, Kurt Warner 01. The last quarterback to win a Super Bowl while also being the regular season MVP was Kurt Warner in 1999. Now, Mahomes has bucked all kinds of trends already throughout his very young NFL career. But this is an interesting one. Like, I don't think oh, you want MVP, you can't win it. That's certainly what they're saying in Philly. The minute they knew Jalen Hurts wasn't going to win MVP a month ago, that was the response I saw from a lot of Eagles fans was, well, that just means that means Mahomes not going to win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts won't win MVP, but he'll win the Super Bowl. That's kind of the mindset that Eagles fans have coming into this. I don't think.
You sure you wouldn't be saying the same thing as the other way around?
Well, I'm sure we would, Cody. We kind of, that's just kind of how fandom works. So yeah.
To me, I don't think that this stat is nothing. I know we talk sample size or whatever a lot on the show. That's a pretty good size one. Since 1999, there have been 10 MVP winning quarterbacks who have rolled into the Super Bowl, and 9 of them have lost. Or I'm sorry, 9. 1-9 during that stretch. That doesn't seem insignificant to me. What I was trying to figure out is the problem is that I can't find a common thread. So in a couple of cases, I think it's quarterback having the best year of their life, took a team that probably shouldn't have been normally a Super Bowl team, but they were in an MVP year, and then they met a better team, right? That's the Cam Newton, Matt Ryan years for me. Although, again, Matt Ryan was up 28-3 in that game. So they were supposed to win that game. One was a running back. All right, that's a throwaway. So what, he won MVP? He had a great year. Running back is not going to be the reason you win the Super Bowl. But 2 of them are Tom Brady and 2 more out of Peyton Manning. And I'm like, okay, now I have a problem. Those are 2 of the greatest quarterbacks who have ever played in the NFL, and 2 times they have won the MVP, rolled into a Super Bowl, and still lost. Those are the 4 that really concern me. And I was trying to figure out what the common thread is, and my best guess is that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning will take inferior teams to slightly inferior teams to the teams who got there to the Super Bowl all the time. And getting to the Super Bowl is not going to guarantee them a win, even though they're the better quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm not. So the trend, I mean, it is real. It obviously has happened 9 times, but that's not. When you look at what Mahomes has also done this year with the 14-win team, and also seeing in the AFC title game, Chris Jones on the other side of the ball step up and make a game-sealing type of play and be dominant as any. We all acknowledge, we said he was the most dominant and best player on the field on Sunday was Chris Jones. The fact that you have that going for you, I don't think if Mahomes loses, for example, against Philadelphia, I don't think it's going to be because we say, man, Mahomes was the MVP. He just didn't have a good enough team around him, and he willed them to 14 wins. And if he wasn't the MVP this year, he would have won the Super Bowl. Like that's not how I see it. If people want to blindly bet based off that, go right ahead. I don't really like when I see Matt Ryan was up 28-3. So we very easily could be saying, oh, actually, out of the last 2 quarterbacks that won MVP in the regular season and won, we'd be saying, oh, they're 1-1. We'd say, oh, the last 2 are 1-1. But his team blew a 28-3 lead, and it was a historical comeback that we're always going to remember. And 28-3 is now a laughing joke across the NFL. So I don't think it's as simple as just saying, well, the trend 9-0, there's no way. And look, trust me, I talked trends plenty of times on the betting show, and I love trends, and I use them in some of the logic for making bets to support it. The Eagles very well can win this football game. I don't think it's going to be because we're like, man, Jalen Hurts, who's going to probably be the runner-up. It's because he was the runner-up. Mahomes won it, and that means that just you can't win the Super Bowl.
I think that it's not that they can't. It's just I think there's something to the roster versus taking them there. Because you mentioned the record. Oh, they went 14-3.
They both, yeah.
So did most of these teams, man. I mean, they had an MVP quarterback. Like I just looked up just for evidence sake.
Right, but you're the one telling me that you think that Mahomes could have 2 less rings than Brady and still be the greatest of all time. Then you shouldn't be worried about this trend whatsoever.
That's the only reason I'm not worried about it. Is because of Patrick. If this were any other quarterback right now, I'd be like, well, this sucks, and the Chiefs are going to lose.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is the only reason why I'm not freaking out. Because that's not just a trend, man. That's facts. That's a problem. A fact that the MVP loses that often. Because I went back through and I'm like, okay, what are the records? Maybe there was something else going on with those teams. No, they were all great. The worst record out of the 4 Peyton Manning and Tom Brady years in which they won the MVP and lost was 13-3. They were either 13-3 or 14-2. It was actually 1 each for both quarterbacks. And one of those years, it was 14-3. Or 13-3, 13-3, 14-2, and 16-0, because we know that one of the years Tom Brady won the MVP was the year they went undefeated in the regular season and lost it. Look, maybe this is just the red or black roulette wheel, right, Gold? That you just never, like the Super Bowl is a toss-up no matter what. Who cares who has the better roster? Who cares who? Who cares which great quarterback is playing whatever? Tom Brady won 7 other Super Bowls. So the fact that he made it to 2 when he was the MVP and still lost, whatever. But it is kind of weird.
Oh, it's definitely weird. It's interesting.
He only won 3 MVPs. And in 2 of those years, he lost the Super Bowl? He only lost 3 Super Bowls. He won the other 7. Why is it that he was always winning them in non-MVP years? I tried. I really did. I was like digging through this. I'm like, what's the common thread? What's the thing that I can tell you that Patrick Mahomes has to avoid? I don't have it. But I do know that stat scares the hell out of me. The only reason it doesn't is because of Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes has broken a lot of trends throughout his career. I mean, even this past, remember there was the trend out there with Cincinnati where they were 8-0, I think it was, with Burrow in games that were 40 degrees or below.
Yeah.
They're obviously 8-1 now. Yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly being talked about in the betting world when people are taking a look at betting on this game. Let me just put it this way: like if you're biggest, you're not saying this obviously. Like if you're saying that the Chiefs can't win because Mahomes won MVP, like if that's your one thing like you're holding on to the most for the game, then I don't know what to tell you.
That's the non-football reason that we were talking about Tom Brady beating the other. But no, I don't think that's it, but I just don't.
Someone says the NFL scriptwriters don't let the MVP win the Super Bowl. That's exactly what it is. The NFL's rigged. They say, look, you get the MVP, you can't have everything. You can't have everything, so we're not going to let you win the Super Bowl. That's exactly how it goes.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have no theory. You have no theory as to why this has been the case.
I was looking for a common thread for the reason why, and I couldn't find it. But it is something that is happening way too often for it not to mean something. My best guess is the one that I mentioned in the beginning, that your team is actually worse against the team you are up against in the Super Bowl. The other team in the Super Bowl is there because, they're the better team. And that your team's a little bit worse, but you had a guy playing at an MVP level this year. So he got his team to the Super Bowl. The Cam Newton argument. That team, you look at like the offensive weapons around him, his best wide receiver was Ted Ginn.
What if
So it's like he just willed them to the Super Bowl. But the problem is Tom Brady was 16-0. Their team was definitely better. So that doesn't even apply across the board.
What if we go a step further and I told you that the 6 times that the quarterback has led the league in passing, Mahomes, correct, won the league in passing this year, they went to the Super Bowl and lost as well.
See, it's weird.
But that doesn't make any sense either.
Well, what if I just told you that 3 of those years that team that had the MVP played Tom Brady in the Super Bowl?
That factors in as well. Absolutely.
Like Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Kurt Warner.
Greatest of all time.
Sean Alexander doesn't even count because he's a running back.
I already dismissed his earlier, too.
That to me is kind of the discussion right there.
That explains away a third, so now we're like too small of a sample size for the other 6.
So now I've got 6 examples.
In the last 6 examples in the last 23 years, it's not as big of a deal anymore.
No. I don't feel like you can wash away the Tom Brady one because he is responsible for losing 2 of these. It's like, well, he played Tom Brady. I'm like, the other 2 times, Tom Brady got.
Okay, well then my answer to your question would be another question. Explain to me why Eli Manning is 2-0 against Tom Brady in the Super Bowls. We've been
the NFL script writers, Nick.
We've been trying to figure that out for 15 years.
They said Tom Brady 7 is going to be good enough for you, man. We're not going to let you get 8 or 9. So we're gonna make sure we write the script. That's according to Arian Foster, right? So everything's
by the way,
rigged.
It was obviously can we just agree on one thing? It was so obvious that Arian Foster was joking in that video.
Oh my God, that's the whole point.
That's why it's funny, and also Barstool tweeted out, and now they're getting all kinds of run from it.
Why are so many people taking it seriously?
Yeah, but plenty of people are quote tweeting it with like funny, like again, I bring up as if the NFL. It was a gif of Jason Pierre-Paul. Like the NFL said, you've got to blow up your fingers on 4th of July because it fits part of our NFL script. Like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Or like they're just telling D Ford to line up offside.
They said, hey, Tom's got to win this one.
I have to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, man. Script.
Cody, you specifically don't like it when I do this, but I think the biggest reason why this trend is happening is that it's just random sometimes, and small sample sizes don't always lead to big sweeping conclusions.
But I think you change your definition, and I think a lot of people do change their definition of what is a small sample size. To me,
okay, so now we're attacking me. All right.
No,
you're coming at me. Okay.
What I'm saying is, do you have a definitive number that is a sample size for any instance? This is just covering. This Super Bowl line over. It's like since 1999. This is like 50% of the Super Bowls in the last 25 years.
Well, it's 50% of the years of the Super Bowl, but only 9 times where it's actually even been in play. With the like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's from 1999 to 2022, but there's still. It's not like every single time there's a Super Bowl. There's 9 times in general. And basically,
it's 20% of like the history of Super Bowls. It's like 50% of all Super Bowls that have existed since the last 25 years. Like, I understand there's only 9 instances in which they could lose.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
But here's what we do,
But
though.
they've lost all those times. So they still lost 50% of the time,
and
whether
Cody,
they played in those or not.
You on this show are probably a bigger proponent of advanced statistics in football than the other two of us. And one things that the analytics community, and I do that with air quotes, have concluded over the last 10 years is that quarterback wins should not be a stat. But you're basically turning, because all of these guys, with the exception of Sean Alexander, are quarterbacks.
No.
Quarterback wins is not a statistic. And now we're taking not just quarterback wins, but quarterback wins in a very specific game with very specific circumstances. And we're trying to basically use 9 examples and say, well, what's the common denominator? There isn't one. There might be a chance.
It's one of those fun NFL stats, though.
But it's weird. It's fun, but I don't think that, like, do we think that the one player had more of an influence on the game than the other 21 players on the field?
Or 40
for 4 quarters?
No, but like it's weird because we also agreed that at the same time in the NFL, the quarterback is the single most important position, and 4 of these 9 instances were 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history in MVP years. So it's like, why? Like that to me, like there's just part of it that you're like, that should never happen.
I think it's one of those. It should one of those weird things in the league. Like it's just.
So Black coming up 15 times.
It's just weird. It's like Mahomes. If Mahomes finished runner up this year, all of a sudden we'd be like, oh, nothing to worry about.
And especially when you go through some of these things, like, is it surprising to you that Cam Newton lost to
Tom Brady?
They played. That was the Broncos.
Peyton Manning. Is it surprising to you that Matt Ryan lost to Tom Brady? Is it surprising to you that Peyton Manning lost to Drew Brees in a 1-game sample size? Of course not. You're right.
And on the flip side, let's say, and he's not going to.
If you're taking that side, that's the same argument as like Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes in the argument we were having earlier in the ring count.
No, but I would argue that that's what's funny about how your stance is on it as well, because like you're telling me that it shouldn't matter that like head to head. You said it's not. They don't view them head to head, but now you're telling me it's head to head matters.
Yeah, but I was the sample earlier.
Yes,
1 game. This is 10.
Yeah, but
like, to me, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, but each one is still their own thing. I mean, that's if we're going to
understand. Like if you're going to break them down to each individual game, but it's like there's a bigger thing at play.
It's funny to me though. Like, would you be like, let's say if Jalen Hurts, and he's not going to, if Jalen Hurts were to win the MVP this year and Mahomes were the runner-up, would we be like, oh, Jalen Hurts because he was MVP, he lost to Mahomes, or would we say
I'm pretty sure
he lost to Patrick Mahomes?
Mahomes winning. But that's a fan thing.
So it's just for sure. Look, it's an incredible stat.
But by the way, Jalen Hurts is going to finish what?
Second.
I think runner-up.
Second in the MVP. So. This you can't even it matters nothing. You've got the 2 best players in the NFL quarterbacking the 2 teams playing each other in the Super Bowl. There's no conclusion to be made from
that. I like that they both finished 16-3 and scored the exact same number of points.
And by the way, and let's get one thing clear too. If Jalen Hurts doesn't get injured, there's a good chance he does win MVP this year because he was the front runner before he got injured.
Which is the whole other part of this that makes it kind of like I get it, like the randomness of it.
So then
like,
we'd be talking about how, hey, you guarantee the Chiefs a Super Bowl, right?
Exactly.
Now, and we would be sitting here today.
Now, if you're wondering, because we just gave the example of the 9-0 record of quarterbacks or players, right, that 0-9, sorry, that have been a regular season MVP and lost. 10 players have won the Super Bowl and the MVP in the same season.
It's just all pre-1999.
Yeah, the last one was Kurt Warner.
Those are alternative facts.
And those are like Terrell Davis in 98, Brett Favre in 96, Steve Young in 94, Emmitt Smith in 93.
But we'd all agree that sometimes like that is a very different pre-free agency NFL.
Sure.
So it does feel like you kind of have to be like, those are different things in a weird way, you know? Because the NFL didn't like the 80s NFL's nothing like 1999 to now. Like the league didn't even operate the same. So it's like so weird because you're right.
Fun, man.
There's plenty of examples where it was having a good run. Maybe it's just like red and black running on the roulette wheel, hot or cold. It's like, wow, it's been red 10 times in a row.
Yeah, there's nothing.
You're like, who knows?
Nothing tells you it can't be red 10 more times in a row, even though we all in our mind think there's no way it'll be red 20 times in a row, but there's nothing preventing it from actually being red 20 times in a row.
Yeah. It would just be long odds. It doesn't mean it can't happen. And it doesn't change the odds for the next spin. It's weird. You trying to sneak it?
He just snuck it at you, like trying to make it real sneaky. Just real quick, pop. You're on video, man.
Nick needs his snacks. Hey, he might have taken himself off video. We don't know. Yeah, smart.
Wait, I did. Why are you off video? The camera's on you.
To eat that chip.
I switched to a different scene.
Wow.
I switched to a 2-shot. I wanted to make sure you guys were
featured.
Featured.
So nice of you, Nick.
It's not about me, guys.
I really, you know what? That's really kind of you. I appreciate that. What a guy, right?
Also, be a professional, Gold.
Is this like when I call up behind the scenes stuff?
Yeah, don't be distracted by the man behind the curtain.
Well, see, now you're in studio with us, man. Like you're not behind the. You are in the same studio as us. You're way too close for us to not.
I did try to sneak it real quick.
It was a quick pop in of the chip.
Yeah, you got to pop it in.
All right, that nobody else.
Cody takes everything. We've got.
No, I just don't like the way it sounds
Every single
anymore.
word I say, Cody goes. Okay.
Nick's like, I got to scratch my neck and I got to scratch my neck, and Cody would be like, ew. That sounds dirty.
I wasn't even calling it dirty. I just like, you guys had 3 times in a row. I said, pop it in, just pop it in. Yeah, let's pop it in.
Well, earlier
I was like, all right, I'm out.
What
I
about
don't want to
earlier
hear pop
today
it in
when I
anymore.
was just singing lyrics to a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and you got so uncomfortable.
You were making it weird with your emotions.
No, I wasn't. All I said was, what you got to give it, put it in ya.
And you said it in a weird voice while looking directly into my eyes.
Well, you don't think Anthony Kiedis has ever looked into someone's eyes while singing those words?
Context matters.
Doesn't mean he wants to have sex with everyone he sings that song to.
I bet Anthony Kiedis has had a lot of sex with people who he looked in the eyes
Probably.
and sung a song to.
Probably.
It's a high probability.
Oh man, the Pro Bowl games are coming up this weekend, and we know Derek Carr is going to now play in that. But also the Raiders seemingly are just kind of, I feel like almost messing with Derek Carr at this point. You sent him home the final 2 weeks of the regular season. You didn't want him to be a distraction to your franchise, and now the Raiders aren't even letting him go out and seek a trade. They're not even letting him. You know, typically like Tyreek Hill's situation, we know the Chiefs finally granted him and his agent, hey, you can go talk to teams. They said, hey, the Dolphins are interested. Then the teams negotiated, and ultimately it resulted in a trade. But Derek Carr, $40.4 million, his contract number vests on the 15th, so 2 weeks or so from now. They could try to trade him later, but that's a risk because if you trade him before the 15th,
then he costs the money.
Yeah, let's say somehow you can't trade him or something terrible happens and he ends up, he gets hurt. Let's say even in that 2 week span after, then suddenly you're stuck with the $40.4 million. Like there's a lot of risk here, and as you know, people made all the jokes about them being in Vegas. Like that truly would be a gamble for the Las Vegas Raiders if they actually did that.
Also, if he got hurt in the Pro Bowl, he has an injury guarantee.
Luckily,
he should just twist an ankle. He should intentionally twist an ankle.
Oh. Why would he? Honestly, for him though, why would he want that?
So he can guarantee himself $40 million.
Right, but he won't get a.
He could just lie about it. He doesn't have to actually twist the ankle.
I feel like a doctor would.
He could do the Kadarius Toney route. He's like, my hamstring. It's been hurting for 9 games.
Yeah, it's an ankle for Toney now, which I actually feel better about. It's not a hamstring. If it was a hamstring injury, I'd be more concerned for Toney.
This doesn't make any sense, and yet teams do consistently do it. I think for one pretty obvious reason. They overvalue their own asset. The Royals are really guilty of this. We've talked about this in the Dayton Moore era. They both simultaneously overvalue Derek Carr and don't want him. Do you realize how stupid that sounds to other teams? Hey, we don't want him anymore. Excuse me? That's what you're offering? How dare you? This is Derek Carr. You're like, you don't want him. It's like, but come on. I mean, he's still very good. You can't tell us that, he's not really good. You're like, but you won't let him start for your NFL team. They're like, but come on. Like, to me, that is the biggest problem these teams run into. They end up asking too much from these other teams for an asset they no longer want. I understand there's a business part of this, and I can't believe you did it.
No, I was not trying to talk. I was not trying.
Yes,
I was trying to clear my throat because I just had a jalapeno chip, and it's like burning in the throat. So I was trying to go.
I forgot to turn it on.
I was trying to go, like trying to get that little crumb out of
anyway,
my throat.
Your thoughts?
So now that I'm actually trying to talk, I'm telling you guys right now, this is going to go the way it went with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's gonna.
He's going to end up.
He's not
you think he's
staying
going
with
to
the
end up
Raiders.
back with the Raiders?
Not staying with the Raiders.
Yes,
They're
he
going to
is.
do all this. They're going to
Guys,
bench him for the final 2 games of the season, and then
it
put him in there.
didn't make any. You guys like revisionist
Nick, we're
history.
talking about way more money here than with the Jimmy Garoppolo
but
deal.
Nobody thought that Jimmy
$40
Garoppolo
million
was
versus
staying in San
25.
Francisco. Nobody thought he was staying in San
He was
Francisco.
hurt though, man.
But we still were not entertaining the idea of him staying.
Right, but he was hurt. No other team wanted to trade for him because they're like, this guy's hurt. They thought he was damaged goods. They were wrong, but he was hurt.
I think Derek Carr is damaged goods. I think he's emotionally fragile. He is. He's hurt.
Look, I know Derek Carr is an easy target. We like making fun of the guy. But he's been consistently a top 15 quarterback, and he is healthy right now.
Inconsistently a top 15 quarterback.
No, he's been consistently top 15. He's been in the top 15 for most of his career.
Listen, I think that every surprising thing that happens in life starts with something that you don't expect to happen. So let's just entertain the idea that something surprising could happen here.
Also, the 49ers made a mistake.
I wouldn't bet on it, Gold, right? This wouldn't be a value bet, but it could happen.
The 49ers made a mistake. They should have taken a third-round pick if they would have got it for Jimmy G. He didn't play for them, and they went to the NFC title.
Remember that term I just used, revisionist history?
Yeah.
Assuming you knew Brock Purdy was going to be good.
But I know that now, so they made a mistake.
No, but hold on. No, hold on, though. In fairness,
it's not revisionist history. It's knowing more information than I knew before.
Knowing that the guy we're going to draft in the 7th round in 4 months is going to be great and lead us to the NFC Championship game?
The only part that
they're doing the same thing. Overvaluing a product they didn't even want to start for their own damn team.
Alliance.
I'm with you that they should have traded, but no, I don't think it would have been an alliance.
He rejects your alliance.
My only thing is that, Trey Lance got hurt so early in the season. We were all praising them for keeping Jimmy G because we're like, oh, their season's still alive because they kept Jimmy G. That was a real conversation we had.
But how I feel now is not. It was inaccurate. I was wrong. They should not have been praised. They should have let Jimmy G go and taken any draft pick compensation they could have gotten for him.
But we're also then assuming that Brock Purdy, if he started week 2 to week 17, they just would have been the exact same team. There wouldn't have been other issues. Do we not think that him as a rookie, learning behind Jimmy G in the regular season, also made him a better quarterback?
Jimmy G, we're comparing it to a different, no, I'm good.
Yeah, but you talk about Jimmy G like he's one of the worst quarterbacks of all time. We've had this joke on the show for a while.
It's because he's attractive. Cody hates attractive athletes.
We've established that on the show at times.
Yes, he hates Derek Jeter, Jimmy Garoppolo, and now Tom Brady.
Another team have traded to your point, Cody? Should another team have been way more willing, the Colts or whoever, to trade for Jimmy G? Of course, yeah, that absolutely should have been the case, and I think that's very real. We knew that right away.
It is the same problem over and over again. These teams say they don't want somebody, and then they're like, no, they're asking the world. You're like, you don't want him. We know you don't want him. You can't ask us for whatever you want. That's not how this works. You're not interested in being a starting quarterback for your NFL franchise. And you want one, a couple of first-round picks from us? No, we won't do it. That is how they end up back with the Raiders. Because teams will do this. They'll hold their guy hostage, keep asking for the price that they're never going to get. They're like, screw you. We'll prove you wrong. We'll start Derek Carr and we'll win.
Alliance.
You'd be like, that's not going to work.
Alliance, Cody.
$40 million.
Me and you.
I bet you didn't see that coming.
Derek
You
Carr.
thought the alliance
You're screwed now. Gold 2 versus 1.
$40
you can't win this
million.
one.
That's probably league average at this point for quarterback salaries next year.
That's true. Give it 2 years. $40 million would be a bargain.
Give it 2 years.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be under contract by then.
Yeah, Joe Burrow will have a new contract. Justin Herbert will have a new contract. Lamar Jackson. $40 million will be pocket change.
If you're going to draft another quarterback, if anyone will take Derek Carr, you trade him away so that you can have the money.
Well, yeah.
It's not that complicated. $40 million by to make him the fourth highest paid quarterback.
That's a big number. Big number.
Only behind Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott.
If there's any owner that doesn't actually have the money to just eat and stuff, that would be Mark Davis in Las Vegas.
By the way, he's eating ramen every night.
Not only him, they say he drives a very basic car, so actually he might be eating ramen. There's a really good ramen place in Las Vegas, by the way. Really good stuff.
Sure.
He saves a bunch of money. He cuts his own hair.
He does, that bowl cut.
Wait, he really does that himself?
Just got a bowl.
Wait, he does not really do
Nokia
that.
phone as well.
There's no way he pays anyone.
You're lying. You're making stuff up.
No, I think he has cut his own hair.
Has or does?
Lloyd Christmas cuts his hair.
I mean, I don't it's not surprising to me based off how it looks, but does he actually do it himself?
Do you think any person who spent the 3 years it takes to go through cosmetology school would give someone that haircut? They can't put that on a resume. They get fired, Nick. They'd never have a job again.
Yeah, he drives a minivan. He spends every morning at P.F. Chang's.
Wait, every morning?
What?
How's P.F. Chang's open in the morning?
That's not a morning place.
This is an article from.
That's not open in the morning.
I need to hear more.
Let me get down to the article a bit more. It says here's his profile. This is from Business Insider back in 2017. Most days start the same. Behind the wheel of a white 1997 Dodge Caravan SE outfitted with a bubble top mark conversion kit, VHS player mounted to the roof inside, and personalized play. Mark Davis pilots this machine from his East Bay home to the nearest P.F. Chang's, where he sits at the left end of the bar, same spot every time, puts his white fanny pack on the counter, orders an iced tea, unfolds the day's newspapers. Beside him on the bar, next to the papers, is his 2003 Nokia push-button phone with full texting capability. When someone calls and asks him where he is, he says, quote, "I'm in my office," and sends a knowing nod to the bartenders. It gets him every time. This is a man that's worth $500 million. So his tricked-out minivan and throwback cell phone are telling of the man's personality. This is a profile piece.
That guy owns an NFL team.
And you're positive that's not from the Onion.com.
Business Insider.
Imagine how many times that fake bartender in order to get a tip had to laugh at that stupid joke. Dude, you bartender be like, "I'm in my office." Oh, good one, Mark. Just you sign that
he probably
tip.
tips well. He tips
Please
well.
do.
He probably tipped well.
Does he? He drives a 1999 Dodge Caravan.
Doesn't mean he doesn't tip well.
Yeah.
That doesn't strike me as
Wait a
somebody who
second.
tips well.
Chad Ochocinco drives like a Toyota Corolla, and he tips like $1,000 on a $1 receipt all the time.
Some new casino opened in Boston. They just legalized sports betting. Over the weekend, he tweeted out, he said, "Hey, if you show up, we'll make bets together." And he's like, "I'll provide the money." And so people showed up, and he let people use his money and made bets. It was incredible. It's a real thing that happened this weekend.
Cool dude.
I would say
What do you
so.
have against rich people?
Nothing. I just feel like...
Maybe it's not an attractive people thing. Maybe it's a rich person thing.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending, back into Brady's retirement, and somebody else that Cody says is almost as big of a deal as number 15.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place an NBA one-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more, and if you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just opt into this promotion on BetMGM's app or website. With one-game parlay, you can make selections within any single NBA game from tons of bet types, including team and player props. So go ahead and take your favorite NBA star to score big, the home team to cover, and the over in points. Opt into this promotion and then place an NBA one-game parlay wager of 4 legs or more, and you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets if you miss one leg. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Kansas only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics, listen up. Everybody loves playing for a winner, right? That's why it's time to bring your skills and experience to one of the nation's leading providers of sustainable solutions, Waste Management.
There's so much more to waste management than what you think it is.
WM is paying a $7,500 new hire bonus to CDL truck drivers and heavy truck mechanics for immediate job opportunities at our WM site in Kansas City.
Besides the $7,500 new hire bonus, there's steady work, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, a generous boot and tool allowance, and home every day.
Plus, over-the-top benefits like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and so much more.
Apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hiring today for tomorrow. We are WM.
Hi guys, it's Mark. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Today, Wednesday, February 1st, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Oak Ridge Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain the spark in your bedroom, today is your day. Call us now, and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. You'll also get a gift that can produce rapid and powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is an unprecedented offer worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify totally free. Call 913-295-8000. That's 913-295-8000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Oak Ridge Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today, Wednesday, 913-295-8000.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds. And we feel great.
Seminars Wednesday, February 22nd at the Sure Stay Plus by Best Western in Kansas City, or Thursday, February 23rd, Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park West and Overland Park. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relagolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Guys, fellas, men, are you Roman ready for Valentine's Day? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends everything right to your door with free shipping and in discreet packaging. Go to ro.co/Viagra to get generic Viagra for just $4 per dose. Do it by February 8th for 20% off and guaranteed shipping by Valentine's Day. That's ro.co/Viagra.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports is brought to you by Park & Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Park & Go makes airport parking fast and stress-free. Stay clear from the winter elements with covered parking and free instant shuttles. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. The best deals in parking. Bookparkandgo.com. Park & Go, family owned and operated.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
All right, number one on what's trending, of course, Tom Brady announcing his retirement this morning. It's actually a year to the day that he announced his retirement last year before retiring, but it feels a little bit different.
This time Schefter didn't break it.
Schefter didn't break it. This directly came from Tom Brady, and I'll play the audio here, Blake, of Brady, and you can kind of hear the emotion from him. Well, Tom doesn't want to talk right now. He doesn't want to talk. Tom doesn't want.
Rare miss.
He's that emotional.
He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to talk. That's like you said. He was that emotional.
Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So it won't be long-winded. I think you only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
That was Tom Brady with a video he put out on his social channels. Obviously emotional at the end, and I, as Nick said, I love you too.
Love you too, man.
Look, I mean, 7 Super Bowl rings, 45 years old. I mean, is the greatest quarterback that we've seen to this point in time, and
not most talented, greatest.
Oh boy, semantics.
Most accomplished. He's the most accomplished for sure.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Next up on What's Trending, former Carolina Panthers head coach Matt Rule has filed an arbitration suit against the Carolina Panthers, seeking more than $5 million in offset severance compensation, according to his suit. He still claims that they have not paid him $5 million that they were supposed to in severance pay based on the offset language in there. He was owed roughly $34 million by the Panthers after his dismissal, but he's still short, apparently. He feels like he's getting shorted.
Dave Tepper just doesn't have the money. I mean, he's only worth $18.5 billion. He does not have the money.
God.
Only $18.5 billion. He just does not have the money, Cody, to pay that $5 million, clearly. Nope, just doesn't have it. Go pay the man, write the check.
Don't stay rich on accident, right, Cody?
Write the check, Dave Tepper, and everybody move on. And Matt Rule, good luck in Nebraska.
I never pay anybody who does any work for me. Is that the Dave Tepper model, right? Just don't pay him. What are they going to do? Sue you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly, literally exactly what they'll do.
That's precisely what's going on. All right, next up on What's Trending. After a 4-year hiatus, the Arena Football League has announced it's relaunching, guys, under a new ownership group. They'll return to the field in 2024. Of course, Kansas City at one point had a couple Arena football teams, Arena League. And look, 20 years ago, I actually didn't mind it. But these leagues, you know my philosophy, whether it's the XFL, the Alliance League, all these other leagues, USFL, unless any of them can actually prove they can be stable for 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, why should anybody devote their time and effort towards it? In terms of a fan, I'm talking about. I get the opportunity for some of these players to continue to live continue their dream of thinking they're going to get their break. I'm all for that. But from a fan standpoint, why should I get invested in something, Cody, that usually lasts for a year or two and then goes away?
Lastly, on What's Trending, we told you earlier that the Eagles' backup offensive guard, Joshua Sills, is under indictment from a grand jury in Ohio who has been charging him with cases of kidnapping and rape. Well, the NFL has now placed him on the commissioner's exempt list following that indictment, which means he may not participate in practices or games or travel with the team while on that list. That means, obviously, his Super Bowl run is over.
Yeah,
the real question is, how big of a distraction is this? A backup guard, but how big of a distraction is this for the Philadelphia Eagles in their week and a half before the Super Bowl?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the fact that it's a week and a half out, by the time you get to next Sunday, has time passed enough versus it happening the Wednesday of game week? Is it a little bit different? And players are, would be forced to maybe be in an uncomfortable position to answer questions. The fact that it's happening the week before Super Bowl week maybe takes away some of the distraction angle. Obviously, very serious accusations and charges, I should say. That he's being brought on him through the grand jury. All right, lastly, on What's Trending, Sunflower Showdown last night. The Jayhawks get the win over the Wildcats. They even up the series against K-State. Missouri in action tonight against the LSU Tigers.
A lot of domination by Kansas last night. They pretty much had control of that game.
They really were. They were in
pretty
control
much through. Did you place a bet on it?
Travis Kelce was there.
I did. I told you guys when we were walking out the building last night.
You did. You felt confident.
Yeah, I said the Wildcats are frauds and Kansas will win by at least double digits.
That is actually almost exactly what he said.
And then Jerome Tang
will be
he will be so shook after the game that he will just straight up lie at the podium about the history of this rivalry.
I did hear that.
Wait, what did he say?
he said that he has been educating himself on the rivalry between Kansas and Kansas State, and that he's like, a lot of people didn't know that before 1988, Kansas State had more Final Fours and conference championships.
And it's not true? I guess everybody knew it was more competitive. No,
go ahead.
Everybody knew it was more competitive, I guess is what I was going to say.
Because it's not true. In fact, not only is it not true, it's not even close. Kansas had doubled up Kansas State before 1988. So
I was thinking earlier.
They'll play again.
Honeymoon's over for Tang.
They'll play again in Kansas City. They'll play again in Kansas City at the
Tang.
Big 12 tournament, most likely.
You're only as good as your word, and if you're lying, how am I ever supposed to trust anything you say now?
Great point.
Jerome.
That's
great point.
Jerry.
Anybody who lies on this show should be really worried about ever being trusted again.
Until Jerome Tang restores his honor.
Oh, jeez.
He's Jerry Tang. He's Jerry Tang. Yep.
That is Nick Schwartz, host of the Wave and the Wee podcast.
What are you afraid of?
I'm just saying that's Nick Schwartz, host of the Wave and the Wee podcast.
Are you afraid that K-State's going to come after us?
No, I'm just making sure they know that that's you calling him a liar. That's all.
I'm not calling him a liar. It's a fact. He got it wrong.
He said they're frauds.
Well, the team is frauds.
I don't think so. I don't think they're frauds. That's ridiculous.
They're a
top 20 team in the country.
Yeah,
they're
that's
a
crazy.
5 or 6 seed.
Well, that might happen. Doesn't mean they're frauds, though. That very well might be what they are.
Yeah, they're frauds.
A seed, but what?
They were top 10 team. They're not.
He's already predicting them to be a 5 seed and be the 5 seed who gets upset by the 12.
That's what
you
can't just say that.
Text
I
line
said
says,
anything.
"Don't worry, Nick. He won't be at K-State very long."
You think he's going to be the next head coach at Texas?
Well, Eric Musselman may not be as attractive after what Arkansas is doing this year. Yikes. Falling off. Anyway, that's what's trending. I don't know how we went down that road, but there you go.
The very rare time that this show forays into some college hoops.
I love hoops, man.
Oh, text line's all over Nick now.
What are they saying?
Found all the K-State fans, Nick, who do not like your comments.
Here we go for the 913. Yet you were the ones that got investigated by the FBI, Nick Schwartz. Someone else, Bill Self, never lies. Ask the FBI. Someone else, yet you were the ones, again, that got investigated. All directed specifically towards Nick Schwartz.
Okay. Tell me again, what charges were brought against Bill Self? If the FBI was all over him, what charges did they file?
Remember the lady at the K-State football game I told you guys about? She's like, what was the line that made no sense? She said, she was screaming at me throughout the game. Cheaters never win except KU, which never made sense to me still to this day.
That's true.
Cheaters never win except KU.
Well, she's right about the winning part.
I thought we all learned a lesson when Eli Drinkowitz held up that sign and then his team got boat raced by 40. Kansas, look, I'm not a Kansas fan. Nick and Alex.
We know, you're part of the Missouri school system.
So I'll just let you know real quick. I will speak on behalf of all Kansas fans because I've met enough of them now at this point. They are the living embodiment of that Stephen A. Smith clip. Like, but what about the FBI? I don't care. Let me tell you, I don't care.
Well, they won the championship last year.
They don't care.
So, yeah.
Kansas fans don't care. They're not offended by your but what about the FBI? They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They've suffered no punishment. They never will. They won a championship. It doesn't matter. It is unimportant. Everyone in college basketball is cheating. Kansas fans don't care and honestly shouldn't care about anything FBI related. It's the worst way to insult.
Remember
You'd be better off firing off Northern Iowa jokes. You're more likely to get a knife in there with a Northern Iowa joke than you are the FBI stuff in which they do not care at all.
Yesterday we brought up Jerry Rice, who was at the Eagles game, and they were taunting him, and all he did, he pulled out a little pouch. He pulled out those 3 Super Bowl rings. He put them on there, and he held his hand in the air, and he walked away. That's basically what's happening. Yep, got the ring last year. Got the ring.
And the FBI jokes, I mean, the funny thing.
Personal attacks on Nick Schwartz now.
I don't have
the text line. You want me to read them to you? Can I just read Nick any tweets and text directed towards Nick? Says, Nick, you're the creepy guy at the party that stares at women in the corner.
Well, that's just not true.
Well, you did take a photo of someone at a gym once, and someone got very angry with you.
And let me ask you guys both the question. Either one of you guys can answer. First one gets a point.
Okay.
Who was the woman that I took a picture of?
I actually don't recall.
You do. Cody, you want to steal this one?
It was someone working out at the gym. I do remember that part.
That it would be a prerequisite for it being at the gym. And neither one of you guys want to answer the question because you guys know the answer is that was my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. But also, I got to be honest, in a public setting, even if it is your girlfriend, weird to take pictures of them.
I can do whatever I want.
I don't think your girlfriend would agree with that sentiment.
She did call me an idiot after that. But we laughed. We had a good joke about it.
Huh.
Uncomfortable joke, it sounds like.
No, we laughed.
After the guy had to report Nick to gym security.
Oh, did I tell you I ended up beating that guy's ass?
You did not end up beating that guy's ass. We just talked about lying. Now you're a liar like Jerome Tang.
Hey, if he can make stuff up, so can I.
Interesting.
Text
line does not like you.
You keep laughing in an uncomfortable manner, Gold.
I'm laughing.
Is it making you uncomfortable that I'm going after Jerry like that?
Jerry?
Listen, if you're going to go sit up in front of a microphone, if you're going to sit in front of a microphone and talk about how you've been educating yourself on the history of this rivalry that, you are a big part of now as the head coach of one of those teams, maybe, just maybe, get some of the facts straight. You don't have to get all of them straight. I don't need you to know, every single coach, every single player, every single final score. But if you're going to sit up there and you're going to talk about how one team used to be better than the other team, make sure you know which team it is that you are speaking
So you're
of.
saying,
and I quote, you know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
that's, of course, the Rock version of what Travis had to say. And Travis was at the game last night. So
His words, not mine.
I didn't expect us to get into college basketball in the show, but, it's nice.
Yeah, Travis was on hand. See that whooping.
He was.
Are you officially predicting Kansas to win the Big 12 now?
Now that we have the blessing of Travis Kelce?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
That one trip to the wheel, that was enough.
Yeah,
and the Hawk.
Well, and then he gave a speech.
I don't know
to the team,
I don't know
right?
if he went to the Boom Boom Room. I can't confirm that, but he was definitely at the Hawk. He was definitely at the Hawk and the
wheel, right?
Well, that was first. Yeah, the wheel was first, and then we went to the Hawk. But the latest odds to win the Big 12: KU plus 140, Texas plus 220, TCU plus 470, Iowa State plus 850. K-State has fallen back to the fifth most likely team to win the Big 12 at 10-1.
I do think 6 wins will get you, or 6 losses will get you a share of the Big 12 this year.
Well, Self was asked that after the game. He said, what do you say, 4 or 5, and you're in really good shape. He goes 6 might do it, but basically 4 or 5.
2018, the year that KU went to the Final Four, they, I think, won it with 5 losses. And Texas Tech had a 2-game lead with 2 weeks to go, and then they dropped 4 of their last 5. Weird stuff happens when it's nut cutting time.
Why have you said that now twice on the show?
So I was mid-sentence. I was like, should I say it again? I'm doing all this quick processing.
Did you think, would Cody remember that he said that one other time,
like,
3 hours later?
Dude, this all worked out according to plan.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, if I say this again instead of crunch time, it was between those two. I'm like, if I say it again, Cody will perk up. And he did. Your ears go up like a little German shepherd. You're like, who?
Aren't you glad that I have such a good memory of when you say weird things on this show? Or before the show, or sometimes after?
See, now I have the text line pulled up from the 913. Nick is the worst personality on Kansas City radio. That's actually not true.
Oh.
You need to get your facts straight. Because there was actually an official poll orchestrated last week in which I was voted second worst. Cody was voted the worst personality on Kansas City radio. So get your facts straight, bud.
Okay, that was one person's opinion, though. I mean, it was a pretty good opinion, but it was one person's opinion.
Yeah, but he made a lot of good points.
Yeah, he did. But mostly the point being, Nick awful in parentheses, Cody worst. Those were the 2 points. Actually, he had no extra commentary for you, Alex. So you must think very average.
Yeah, I guess so.
Also, did Nick slide in the whole nut cutting plus the dog reference on purpose?
Tough call.
Dog.
He did call you a German Shepherd as you guys were talking about that.
I did not actually put those two together.
Blake caught that.
He did. Blake's a sharp guy.
Can't read, but still sharp.
But his situational awareness is...
Didn't read for an entire year in college, or ever in college, he said, I think. Yes.
That doesn't even seem plausible. I should probably read some more books, just in general.
Why?
I don't feel like I get through enough in a year.
Oh.
How many did you read last year?
Like 4.
Read one on the plane when you're sitting. We'd read one on the flight. Just read one on the airplane.
I don't. We've said this though. I don't do physical books. I do audiobooks.
I've been told that audiobooks count.
They don't count as reading, but they do count in like you're still interpreting.
No, I think they count as reading.
Okay, well,
it activates the same part of the brain as reading.
Wow.
Does it help your vocabulary overall?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it accomplishes the exact same thing as physically reading the pages. So if you listen to 10 books, then you read 10 books.
Just do that.
It's way easier.
You're good, Nick. I mean, I guess, but I like to kind of read it. I feel like I'm not.
That's what people say about I like the physical newspaper.
I know it makes me sound old, but I like to read the book.
If I want to fall asleep.
But that's basically what you're saying about the book, I feel like. The same kind of logic behind it.
I have a hard time listening to it. I think it's because my brain's broken.
This is the funniest text.
All right, go for it.
From the 816, I have 2 bachelor's degrees and have not read an entire book in my life. That cannot be possible.
There's just no way. Like book or just like you didn't even read through Redfish
Someone says,
Bluefish?
as a librarian, they can confirm that audiobooks count.
By the way, if you have 2 bachelor's degrees, did you attend like North Carolina and go through those paper classes?
I want to know what the degrees are in now too. I'm just curious. I'm really just curious now.
It's going to be like microbiology, and it's going to be like way more impressive degrees than we think they should be.
Yeah.
The final word.
Get used to this setup with Nick in studio with us, because all next week that'll be the case when we're out in Glendale, Arizona.
How do we want to commemorate the end of the show? Should we hug?
No.
Let's all crawl on the table, meet in the middle, and do a group hug.
Oh my God.
Carrington already makes us fist bumping before every show. I don't think I need more post-show
It's
stuff.
like that's a bad thing.
Yeah, why is fist bumping okay, but hugging is bad?
Well, just like the hug, climbing on the table is a little bit different than a quick little fist bump.